after pulling his Chagos Islands bill amid mounting US pressure, as President Trump has branded the plans an act of great stupidity.
Labour's High Command piling the pressure on Andy Burnham, giving him 24 hours to decide whether to stage a dramatic return to Westminster.
They're not in the real world, really. Small villages, even towns, cities like that. What would you do out? Where would we go?
Pubs across the country are still waiting to find out the details of a government support package. Many are fearing permanent closure.
Good news for flyers. Passengers at Heathrow can finally leave liquids in containers. Up to 2 litres in their bags are going through security as the airport completes its long-awaited rollout of new high-tech security scanners.
And were you one of the many glued to your telly last night for the Traitors finale? Were you desperate to see who came out on top? Well, we'll be joined a bit later on by a former finalist to unpack all the twists, turns and betrayals that kept the nation hooked.
A very good morning. Tottenham have moved to add experience to their defence by opening talks to sign Liverpool's Andy Robertson. It's a big day of Premier League action too. And in Melbourne, Novak Djokovic bids for a place in the last 16 at the Australian Open.
Good morning. Some sunshine for many central areas. Rain sandwiching that sunshine, though, for the northeast and southwest. I'll have all the details a little later on.
It's just gone 6 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
And I'm Anne Diamond, and this is GB News Breakfast.
I wonder if we should crack straight on, actually, this hour, because there's a lot of anger about, actually, and it begs the question, is it going to damage Britain's special relationship with the United States?
Yeah, well, because Sir Keir Starmer now has publicly criticised Donald Trump's claims that NATO troops weren't exactly on the front line in Afghanistan. He said they were insulting and, frankly, appalling.
Let me start by paying tribute to the 457 of our armed services who lost their lives in Afghanistan. I will never forget their courage, their bravery, and the sacrifice that they made for their country. There are many also who were injured, some with life-changing injuries. And so I consider President Trump's remarks to be insulting and frankly appalling. And I'm not surprised they've caused such hurt to the loved ones of those who were killed or injured.
White House isn't backing down, telling GB News President Trump is absolutely right. The United States of America has done more for NATO than any other country in the alliance has done combined.
Yes, even Prince Harry has weighed in on the debate. He said, I served there, I made lifelong friends there, and I lost friends there. The United Kingdom alone had 457 service personnel killed, but thousands more lives were changed forever. Mothers and fathers buried sons and daughters.
So, with the Prime Minister now pulling out of the Chagos deal, well, sort of, it's not ended completely. Could this be the start of a fractured relationship between the UK and the US? More importantly, should the President apologise?
What on earth do we expect? You can't think of President Trump really apologising. And should he? Already so many people are getting in touch, saying it's not just about what Trump said. What is insulting is, for instance, British veterans sleeping rough every night up and down the country.
True.
We don't exactly look after our military ourselves.
We don't.
But for the moment, we're talking about President Trump's remarks. Yeah. With us in the studio, former British military advisor to the US, Major General Chip Chapman, who's very well known on this channel. What are your first thoughts?
Well, there are decades when nothing happens. There are weeks when decades happen. And the weeks at the moment include Iran, Greenland, Venezuela and Ukraine. So from an American perspective, this is a very minor tactical thing. It might dominate the news agenda in UK, and rightly so, and people should be rightly angry. But in America, they've moved on from this already. You are not going to get an apology from President Trump. That's to do with his personality traits. The notion that he would show any vulnerability by apologising and show any empathy with the people who were killed from other nations is just not going to occur.
Interesting. The Armed Forces Minister yesterday said to us, when you serve with allies, you're never above, never below, always side by side. Trump very clearly has forgotten that.
Well, he has, and you have to remember that one of the people I worked for in America was General Jim Mattis, who was one of the Secretaries of Defense for President Trump, and he resigned in December 2018 precisely because of his attitude to allies and partners, that he wasn't treating them with respect, and that was to do with Syria. So the notion that he's going to overcome that sort of a part of his character and personality is just not going to happen. The news agenda's moved on again in America. Today, they'll be concentrating on the second day of talks, I think, in Ukraine and what the outcome of that will be, which is probably very little. But it is absolutely right that the mothers, relations of all those people who were killed and wounded should have this righteous anger. Because one of the things that Kissinger used to say was that the Europeans, for example, were post-combat, post-casualties, and post-caring. He never said that about the Europeans, and we did bleed alongside the Americans. And that should be respected. But as both Prince Harry and the Prime Minister said, they didn't explicitly ask Trump for an apology. They didn't mention that in their words, and that was carefully crafted by both of them, I think, because in America they see this as a minor diplomatic problem. They don't see it as front-page headlines.
It just made me wonder that President Trump, he clearly, he was doing his extemporising, as he does, and he just said something that he thought was a fairly casual sort of remark. It made me wonder, is that what the average American thinks? That, that we somehow weren't frontline?
No, well, certainly those who served there do not think that. And of course, there were various echelons of forces. So special forces were working together very closely and still do in, for example, Syria. And of course, we've had special forces from the UK also killed in Syria in the last few years. But it is absolutely right what President Trump's staff say, who are obviously loyal to him and are not going to say anything against him, that in terms of the financial power that they put into Afghanistan and the amount of troops, it was predominantly American. That shouldn't mean that we should not be recognised for what we did. We were at the combat operations, which of course ceased in 2014, the second largest combat nation there, 10,000 troops at the height. And we did bleed significantly in Helmand province, which was a very violent province.
I mean, this is the main difficulty, isn't it? When it comes to the amount of force used, yes, America is the big force. It does provide the biggest input in that sense. But to try and claim that means everybody else is irrelevant, in effect, that's got to damage relations moving forward.
Well, I don't think it will ultimately, because although there's American exceptionalism at the moment and American foreign policy, particularly in terms of the national security strategy, which came out in November, is very hegemonic about Western Hemisphere supremacy, they are not big enough to not want allies in certain areas. And we have to remember that only a week ago, British forces were aiding them in taking down a ship off between Iceland and Scotland. So they still need the capabilities of other allied nations in the way that the French also were used UK capabilities this week in also taking down a shadow ship of the Russians. So America has exotic and very large armed forces, but they're not large enough to be everywhere at once at the same time with simultaneity, which is partly one of the brakes on any action that they've had in Iran, because, of course, they've got significant forces in the Caribbean overlooking Venezuela.
It's very, very interesting, the reaction from everybody watching at the moment. Matthew says, how come we're outraged by words from an American president, but we're not outraged by the treatment of British veterans by our own governments? And John says, if you're going to talk about Trump all morning, what you're doing is deflecting how we treat our own British forces and veterans.
What do you reckon, Chip?
Yeah, and some of that is, of course, true. I don't think anyone wants to see any veteran on the streets. We don't want to see the lawfare, which is trying to rewrite history in Northern Ireland, the notion that British soldiers were bad and the IRA is good. All that is rewriting a history. And that's why I think both the serving community and the veteran community are rightly outraged about those things too.
OK.
Christabel says, if our Prime Minister cared that much about British hero veterans, how come he's never spoken up for them before? How come he never ensures they are housed and looked after properly?
I think that could be levelled against any government, really.
Yes, I think.
To be fair. And I get the anger with that, I do, but I don't know what to say. I mean, he was clearly very, very annoyed yesterday. But quite rightly so.
But maybe instead of channeling our annoyance and our outrage against America, as Chip said, they're never going to say sorry.
No.
Maybe we should show it in some other way by actually doing something about the way we do treat our veterans and drum up a bit of respect for our working forces.
Well, we should actually, frankly, have the sort of attitude to our military that they have in the States, which is much more deferential, actually, and much more thankful. And we should have more of that over here.
And maybe that's what we should be channeling our energy into.
Maybe. Let us know what you think. Meanwhile, let's talk to Freddie Gray, who's Deputy Editor at The Spectator. Freddie, good morning to you. What do you make of this?
Good morning, Stephen. Good morning, Anne. Well, I mean, it's obviously a very silly, outrageous thing that Donald Trump has said. But he said an enormous number of outrageous and silly things over the years. And most observers, commentators have got used to it. I think there is an interesting line of argument at the moment that something's going on with Trump generally. I think if you go back to December and his Truth Social post about Rob Reiner, the director, just after he and his wife were allegedly killed by their son in their homes. And Trump tweeted a very bizarre, completely off-taste post saying, he had a classic case of Trump derangement syndrome. And I think while Trump has, as I've already said, Trump has always said silly and outrageous things, I think in the last few weeks there is this sense that he's being slightly more wild in his outbursts. He's being slightly more irritable and more inclined to say things that really offend people, as he obviously has done here. But in the kind of broader picture, if you see, a lot of people think that there may be a strike on Iran in the next few days, possibly even today. And that will involve British aircraft and American aircraft. And of course, the line after that will be, well, look, we're here for you now, and so on. So as you've already said, there's not going to be an apology. And in a few months, Trump will say something very nice about the British, and a lot of people will forgive him. But I think it is worth thinking about whether there's something going on with Trump or the Trump administration at the moment that is causing them to act in this way. There was also, there was a huge amount of almost ignorance in what he said, because it wasn't just about NATO troops in that sense. What would NATO ever do for us? Well, they're the only country that's ever invoked Article 5, and we all went running. Well, yes, it's obviously a very, very stupid and ignorant thing to say, and it gives a lot of politicians, Keir Starmer, and figures like Prince Harry, it gives them a platform to say something, to say the right thing. And this is another thing that's going on with Davos this week and with Greenland, and I think it's a fair point. You get a lot of people in America who are natural Trump supporters saying what we're doing here internationally is against our national security strategy, which is to try and cultivate better relationships with European allies, because we don't want them to go into the arms of China. Not just European allies, but other allies too. And as we've seen this week, Mark Carney is making closer relationship with China now. You see a lot of European states talking to other countries, trying to come up with other alliance networks, because they don't feel Trump's America is a reliable partner. And I think that is easily reversible by Trump, but at the moment, that's what's going on.
Has he got his eyes on the midterms? Is he worried about his own popularity back at home?
Yes, he is. I think one of the big criticisms of Trump at home in America at the moment is that he is focusing too much on international affairs. And what's he done since 2026? A lot of international affairs. There's Venezuela, there's Iran, there's Greenland, there's European aggravations. The good news for Trump is that the economy does seem to be revving up quite well in America. And I think the hope among Trump people is that by November, the economy will be absolutely roaring. Americans will feel a lot better off. But so far, there's no evidence of that in the polls, and his job approval is sliding. So he is facing a terrible situation. But Americans don't like, it's not a popular move to insult other people's soldiers. It's just a silly thing to do, and it's a misstep.
All right, Freddie, for now, thank you.
My goodness, well, do go on telling us what you feel about that. But there's so many other things happening all at the same time, because the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, is under pressure on both sides of the Atlantic. His former deputy, Angela Rayner, says that Andy Burnham should not be blocked in any way at all from a potential return to the Commons.
Yeah, she's backed the Manchester Mayor to stand in the Gorton and Denton by-election and is expected to make her support public at the North West Regional Conference later on today.
Now, it's a significant setback for Sir Keir Starmer because a Commons seat would give Andy Burnham the chance, at least. It would give him a platform to mount a future leadership challenge.
Let's talk to editor for Spiked Online, Tom Slater. Morning, Tom. What's this about a deadline for Andy Burnham?
Yes.
To say if he wants to go for it or not. Seems a bit odd.
It is odd, but this is the kind of internetine, complicated world of Labour and its national executive. So it's got until 5 p.m. to formally declare. This is one of the biggest calls of Andy Burnham's political career, and this is really going to put the squeeze on him. There's still rumblings that Labour's ruling national executive, which is still kind of stuffed with Starmer loyalists, there are still a few of those knocking around politics these days, will try and block him. But I think particularly with Angela Rayner's endorsement, which we're expecting later on today, and particularly because of how weak it would make Starmer look if him or his allies tried to block this from happening, it seems like if Burnham wants to go for it, he may well have a path clear for him.
But why the deadline today? Because any other potential Labour candidate for that seat who's thinking about it hasn't got a deadline, have they?
Not as far as I can tell. I mean, whether or not this has something to do with the fact that he would have to resign his mayoralty, that therefore maybe that needs to be put in train, it's not entirely clear. Nor is it clear whether or not there's going to be more kind of game playing from the national executive in terms of trying to impose some sort of all-female shortlist or all-ethnic minority shortlist. So all these things come up in the air. But at the end of the day, it does come down to the kind of raw politics of it. And I think the question that Labour is confronted with is Keir Starmer going to block a potential rival from trying to get a seat in Parliament and therefore look particularly weak? Or is he going to allow this to happen and therefore weaken his own position irreparably? Yeah. So it's not great on either side.
And also, I mean, for Andy Burnham, just being given a candidacy doesn't mean he's going to win it, because Reform UK have already said they'll throw everything they've got at him, and so will many others, including the Greens. I mean, and then he risks everything, and he may lose.
Quite. And, you'd think Andy Burnham was used to losing at this point. He had a very unsuccessful tilt at the Labour leadership last time around, losing famously to Jeremy Corbyn. But you're right, it's a very high-stakes move for him. As you say, it would be quite difficult to see how he could lose this by-election. I mean, he's a national political figure. He's obviously a huge figure in Manchester as well. Has been re-elected to the mayoralty on huge kind of Kim Jong-un level margins up there. But at the same time, as you say, politics has changed a lot since the last election. That huge majority Labour had in Andrew Gwynn's former seat will no doubt be slashed, and Reform will be spying another kind of Runcorn-style upset. But as you say, huge political call out.
And again, the other thing which we all seem to bypass is, even if he did say he was going to stand and the NEC allowed him to do so, he's still got to be selected by the local group who run that seat. And there's actually no guarantee of that. We don't know what pressure they may be under.
That's a very good point. I mean, you would think that because of his profile that they would be mad not to choose in some way, shape or form. He also is a genuinely quite popular figure in that part of the world. But it just comes down to whether or not he's going to roll the dice on this. Because we've seen Andy Burnham kind of step forward and then pull back recently. He was making all those criticisms of Keir Starmer ahead of Labour Party conference, was told to get back in his box, and he dutifully did so. But you do think that given how weak Starmer is at this point, given the open speculation as to who's going to replace him, surely now is the time for him to move at any time.
Yeah, and then, of course, there's Wes Streeting, who's also lurking in the wings and is in the Commons already. So if it was a sort of a two-horse race, who would win it?
That's a really good question, because generally speaking, the received wisdom is sometimes the more kind of left-wing candidate will tend to do better, which is how Andy Burnham has now presented himself. I mean, he was a Blairite minister and has had various different kind of political complexion, shall we say, over the years, whereas Wes Streeting is very much still a kind of creature of the Labour right to a certain extent, or certainly the Blairite wing of the party. But one thing that I think is slightly undersold about the Labour Party membership is that they can be a bit more sort of pragmatic. They have tilted in different directions over the years, depending on who they think is more electable. But given Burnham's popularity, not just amongst Labour members, but also the country, you would imagine he would be the favourite in any kind of contest between those two.
Meanwhile, if this isn't enough for Keir Starmer to be waking up in a cold sweat this morning, what's going on with Chagos? Because the bill has been pulled. Is this a permanent move? Is it a delaying tactic? What is it?
Well, it remains to be seen, but I think the government has really run out of road on this particular issue because, first and foremost, everyone knows this is a terrible deal. I mean, why are you handing over what is sovereign territory to a country which has only kind of tenuous claim over it to begin with, and in the context of a rising China and a US administration which is not particularly happy with you? Does this make a lot of sense? I feel like there is so much political capital that the government have invested in this that it would be, you would think it would be impossible for them to U-turn on something this significant. That being said, how many times have we said that recently? They've thrown their weight behind one particular policy only to beat a hasty retreat. But given the legislation is not properly formally passed, they can pull out of this if they want to. But what a humiliation it would be if that is where we ended up with this question.
All right, Tom, we'll see you later.
I don't know how they'd sell it to the British public. I suppose they could say that it's all Trump's fault, could they?
Well, yeah, but the British public will. But at least the British public will be behind it.
Yes, they would. I think they probably would. Yes,
this is.
It would be a popular U-turn.
Yeah, which is that it's one of those things. The country would like it, but they would also condemn the government for it.
Yes, that's right.
So you can't win in that way. But I mean, honestly, I can't see.
But it's one of the very first things they did, wasn't it? And everybody, the nation sort of thought, what? A, where's the Chagos Islands? B, what's this all about? And why would we be paying to give it away?
But he's also said the Chagos deal with Mauritius is needed for security reasons. And no one's actually been able to explain.
No, nobody's ever explained why they were so keen on getting it done.
For security reasons, wouldn't it be better to hold on to it?
I would have thought so, but...
Anyway, loads of you getting in touch this morning. Keep your thoughts coming through on everything we're covering today. Loads of you coming back with that sentiment of saying, we're outraged by words from an American president, but not outraged by the treatment of British veterans by its own government. I mean, it's a fair point.
It is a very interesting point, yeah.
But if you want to get in touch, the best way to do it is to become a friend of GB News, which is absolutely free to do. And if you do so, you could win one of 50,000 GB News bumper stickers. Tom Slater's desperate for one, I'll tell you that for nothing. Have a look at this.
Becoming a friend of GB News is free. It lets you have your say and be part of our shows every day on TV and radio. Plus, if you sign up by January 31st, you could win one of 50,000 limited edition GB News bumper stickers. To become a friend and for your chance to win, go to gbnews.com/bumper sticker now or scan the QR code on screen. 18 plus, UK only. Full T&Cs at gbnews.com/terms of use.
Time to find out about the weather, which isn't looking too good. In fact, I think it's going to get much colder again. Annie Shuttleworth has the weather for you.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning, welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. Some sunshine on the cards for some of us through today, but there will be further heavy rain across southwestern areas as well as in the northeastern area of low pressure down in the southwest. Continues to bring pretty strong winds to southwestern areas. Heavy rain and hill snow still continuing across the north and east. But between those two areas, a slice of sunshine, particularly across southeastern areas of England actually. Plenty of dry weather, still a fairly brisk breeze. It's not going to be especially mild out there at all, but certainly better than it has been recently for some of us. Some weather to get outside in at least this Saturday. Into this evening, the wet weather, the windy weather continues across the southwest and the rain continues to fall across northeastern areas of Scotland. We've still got a yellow rain warning in force actually for parts of Scotland in the north and east. Here we could see some impacts from the rain. It's been raining for a couple of days now actually. Some wet weather spreading into parts of Northern Ireland, remaining dry dry, though, across much of northern England and across the southeast. Should be a fairly clear evening here. A different story, though, in the southwest. As you can see, heavy bands of rain and brisk southwesterly winds. They will move northwards through the night, taking the rain with it. Some dry weather now and again across the southwest, but plenty more rain to come into Sunday. And across the east, actually, it does turn much drier, but it will be a cloudy start to the day on Sunday. Lots of cloud and rain around, another mild night for the time of year. And quite a cold feel, actually, through Sunday across many northern and eastern areas. We've got quite a brisk easterly wind here, and elsewhere lots of cloud and rain. There will be some slices of dry weather here and there. It's not going to rain all day for everyone, and the rain's not going to be that heavy on Sunday, actually, so you should still be able to get out if you are wanting to. Temperatures quite close to average, a little below, where we've got that easterly wind on the east. See you again soon.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Right, still to come for you. Fears that pubs may close their doors for good as they're still waiting on this supposed U-turn on business rates. We'll tell you more in a moment.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show. It's not a bad brand. Yeah. Uncensored. Very, very racy tonight on the unpredictable. What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m, only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
6:29 now. Pubs across the country are still waiting to find out details of a supposed government support package after planned changes to business rates left them with hugely unaffordable bills.
Yes, in the Derbyshire Dales, there's a village pub proving how important it is to its local community. Our national reporter Jack Carson is back in the pub again.
Pulling pints and serving their community. In the Derbyshire Dales, the Barleymow pub plays a vital role in keeping the village of Bonsall connected. YouGov polling reveals 80% of people believe their local pub is important in bringing people together. And for landlady Colette Dewhurst, her customers are more than just drinkers.
Pubs are the last remaining social infrastructure that we've got in this country in many respects. Aside from the sort of the day-to-day and you know the booze and the food and the entertainment and everything, since 2010 especially, the social care cuts have meant that bus routes have been cut, local TV's gone, local radio's gone, and local shops, the post office, the banks and things like that. They're like a last lifeline, and you tend to live longer in a village as well. So we do have you know, quite a few widowed people that rely on here in terms of, you know, the day-to-day interaction and just somewhere that they can come and they feel that they're still part of a family or something.
The government is set to announce a support package for Britain's boozers after planned changes to business rate relief left many looking at unaffordable bills. Colette says support is needed sooner rather than later.
I was looking at the rates increase. Ours has actually gone up 66%. You've got a limited amount of space. You've got to cover your overheads in order to open the door. We're a tiny little pub. So you get to the point where you've either got to keep passing on the increase in the cost of your goods to your customers to the point where they can't come anymore because everybody's feeling it in the purse as well. Or you can choose to work, you know, 100 hours a week rather than 90, have a heart attack and hope someone will come see you when you're in hospital, because it's literally where they're the sort of cuts we're making since COVID. I think we need to stop having all these cross-parliamentary commissions in London. Everybody knows what the problems are. They have these meetings, nothing ever gets done. They need viable solutions.
As her regulars arrive and the pints get pulled, it's clear how much this place means to them.
Villagers need pubs to keep the community together. That's a big element to it.
They've no idea, have they? They're not in the real world, really. Small villages, even towns, cities like that. What would you do without a pub? Where would we go? Up here. With no bus service.
What does the pub mean to you?
It means the world to me. I'll come in every night.
Whether it's tackling loneliness or just a night out with friends, the pub has become the community hub. Jack Carson, GB News, Bonsall.
Honestly, the government should get that landlady in the back of a fancy car and bring her down to London for a consultation in Westminster. Because she's, mind you, I mean, landlords and landladies often talk a lot of sense, but she really did.
Yeah, but they're also talking to people. And you do wonder when you get to the grand, you know, environment of number 10 Downing Street, whether you are actually out of touch with the very people you should be in touch with.
Yeah.
And they just don't hear everyday views from everyday people.
No, I think that's true. Anyway, look, a government spokesman said they recognise the cultural and economic importance of pubs, with the Treasury spokesman saying, with COVID support ending and valuations rising, some firms may face higher costs. So we've also stepped in to cap bills and help businesses as part of a £4.3 billion support package.
Do you ever get this sort of suspicion that sometimes people who issue statements are using AI?
Yes.
The language doesn't feel human anymore, does it?
No. But also, with that, you also think they're not understanding the problem.
No.
When they release a statement like that.
Anyway, do stay with us. Still to come, a huge blow for Jack Grealish, I was going to say. Jack Grealish, as he risks missing the rest of the season. Why? We'll find out more in the sports with Aidan McGee. That's next.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
We can allow. We can allow.
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
emerged after portraits of Lawrence of Arabia were given trigger warnings. The gallery has flagged images of Lawrence wearing traditional Arab dress, saying they may differ from today's attitudes and reflect views of their time.
That's just absurd, isn't it? Here we go again, a trigger warning, as if we're not adult enough to make up our minds as to what we want to watch, whether we'll be offended by that. Why would you be offended about that?
Well, this is the thing. I mean, I can sort of understand, in some contexts, warning some audiences if they're about to see something that is horrendous, if they're about to see gore, death,
flashing images, flashing cameras.
There is some context. But this is just a chap in a headdress. I mean, what's wrong with that?
I don't know what's wrong with it. I mean, do we have more pictures of him? I just don't get it. What would you be offended by? What is it? The thing round his head is too tight? Or
I think it's...
What is it? I don't understand.
But this is the whole idea of cultural appropriation.
Oh, I see.
As if people can't wear clothes of other cultures. But the thing about T.E. Lawrence is he was an Arabist. He adored that part of the world. And many people there adored him too. In some ways, why is this any different to the people who wear the kaffirs, you know, the Palestinian sort of neckerchiefs that people wear on protests? Should we attach trigger warnings to those people too?
I mean, you could perhaps attach a trigger warning to me and my wig. I think I'm culturally appropriating somebody who's white because my hair's long, and most people of colour don't have their hair as long as I don't know. It just seems that we can't respect and just understand something of the time.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Time for the Great British Giveaway now. Just a few days left, actually, to see if you could become our biggest ever cash winner with £85,000 in tax-free cash.
Here's how to take part.
It's the final week to see how you could become our biggest cash prize winner to date, as there's a simply stunning £85,000 in tax-free cash to be won. Go on that dream holiday, buy that brand new car, or just relax in the knowledge that the rest of the year could be on us. But you have to hurry, as lines close on Friday the 30th of January. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good luck indeed. More comments coming in. Jan says, I'm finding it fun to see and hear this government self-destructing on a daily basis. They're out of their depth. Mind you, she says, they'd be out of their depth in a puddle.
Well, I don't know about fun, though, because it's a
Not
country,
fun because it affects us.
Suffering.
Yeah.
Anyway, should we have a look at the sport? Agents here, we've got a bit of football to kick off with.
Yes, exactly. Tottenham, yeah, exactly. Paul Coit loves Tottenham, doesn't he? But good news for them today. It looks as if they've made an approach for the left-back at Liverpool, Andy Robertson, who is an experienced campaigner, 2 Premier League titles for Liverpool and a Champions League. He'd be considered in the modern era as a Liverpool great, I would say. And 4 starts in the Premier League this season, so he's not getting the game time because they bought a player from Bournemouth last summer who's largely usurped him. But look what value they got for him, £8 million in 2017 from Hull City, 363 appearances for Liverpool. And the key thing here, Andy, he wants to go to Tottenham, who are struggling. They need him desperately because they need experience and leadership in their defence. But he wants to be finely tuned for going to the World Cup this summer with Scotland. That just shows you how important. Anyone who says international football isn't important, we always say that it's a bit boring sometimes when we get the international breaks, but when it comes to the World Cup, it's still the pinnacle of football, and that's why he wants to play games and get into Scotland's side, or be ready for Scotland's side when they kick off in the States in the summer. And you mentioned Jack Grealish as well. In the tees, not so good news for him. It looks like he's going to need foot surgery, which you hear the word surgery, don't you? And you think to yourself, well, look, there's the operation, there's the procedure, then there's the comeback, then there's
always a weakness.
Match fitness. Yes, exactly. That's assuming everything goes well. I mean, look, he wasn't a shoe-in for the England squad anyway, but at the age of 30, you would think now that that's going to be his last tilt at the World Cup. And it's sad because he's a maverick player. He's somebody who tries something different. He entertains us. His form wasn't brilliant with Man City last year, but he would probably say, well, I only started a handful of games, so how was I able to show what I was going to do? This loan to Everton has been very successful for him, 2 goals and 6 assists, and we hope...
He's only 30.
I know, but I mean...
But at least he is a very famous name.
Yes.
Is he any good as a commentator? I don't know.
You know, he's a really affable bloke. I don't know if that necessarily makes him a great pundit, but he's never really done the kind of pundit thing. He's a bit, you know, they don't tend to do that while they're playing, but he's certainly somebody I could see in the studio in the future,
Oh, well, worth keeping an eye on. Should we have a look at the tennis?
Yes, Yannick Sinner has got through. I want to talk about him because
it's the Australian Open, which is actually happening right now, yeah?
Happening right now, yeah, exactly. It's I think it's about 5 o'clock in the evening, didn't it? In the afternoon, yeah, exactly. So Yannick Sinner got through this morning, or just in the last couple of hours now. The heat stress scale, which is known as the HSS at Melbourne Park because of the extreme heat, was activated because at the start of the 4th set, Yannick Sinner was struggling. He was 3-1 down, but he was able to demonstrate that the scale was able to hit 5 and he was able to go off and have treatment. Now, his opponent, the American Spizzeri, was clearly nonplussed by all this, and he proved right in the end because it turned out to be a turning point in the match. Yannick Sinner came back on. He was much more refreshed, much more energised, and he saw out the match in 4 sets. In fact, he didn't lose a set going on from there. So that's sometimes the perils of being a champion. You have to overcome mountains as you're going to try and get to the final again. The only question after that is, if we're going to see another Alcaraz-Sinner final, it'll be the 5th slam in a row where we've seen that. Is it getting a little bit processional?
Oh, well, Djokovic is going to play a bit later on.
He's in action later on. Yes, he is. That's true. Yeah, 10 o'clock, due to be 8 o'clock. But I don't know if what the situation with the heat is going to be at that point. You would think with it being later in the day, there, it should be a bit cooler. Yeah, he's going to have something to say about it, but
it also means it could play all night.
Yeah, I know. Well, they went to 4 a.m. once, didn't they?
Yeah.
When
done it before.
4:05.
Yeah.
Andy Murray, 3 years ago.
That's right.
Astonishing. More later, though.
Yeah, lovely, Aidan, thank you. We're going to rattle on because we've got the papers heading away in a moment with Suzanne Evans and Steve N. Allen.
First of all, though, if you're in search of some holiday sun, here's the forecast for the top European destinations.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, are you heading away this weekend? Storm Ingrid is bringing some very unsettled weather to Portugal and Spain. It's pretty wet and windy elsewhere too. The Canary Islands, though, still seeing plenty of dry weather, not especially warm, however. Very wet weather into Spain and Portugal, and some unsettled weather, thunderstorms across parts of Italy as well as the Balkans. It does look drier, though, towards Greece for the weekend. That wet weather will push eastwards later, though. Bye-bye.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray. Are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun. No, he didn't say that, Dave. I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country. There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor. Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I ever got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world, but look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock, only on GB News.
Right, time for the papers at 6:46 with comedian and one of our very own contributors, of course, Steve N. Allen, and political commentator Suzanne Evans. Good to see you both this morning. Let's start with the Telegraph, Steve, looking at the Chagos bill.
Yeah, can you explain it?
Well, I can try. So there's a treaty from 1966 with America which claims that we need to have a base in Chagos, but we would be having a look. Basically, what it means is the Tories have found this problem, this sticky wicket, and that's meant that Labour's said we won't continue with this pushing this bill through because it might be a problem. The trouble is it might not be a big enough problem. They could just try and rejig it with the deal with America, look at the terms, which is such a shame. It should be used as an off-ramp from this. This could be one way of phrasing it as not another U-turn, which at this stage would be the 14th U-turn this government's done.
Right, how would they phrase it?
Well, it's not a U-turn, it's simply that we have to stop doing it. We've not changed our minds on it. Or just let them have it.
But they must have,
external forces
known about this.
Well, to be fair, though, none of us did. All of us who sit around opining about news for months have said this is a bad deal, and no one really spotted this 1966 treaty that was going to be the fundamental flaw. So unless they should have grokked it a while ago, they should have AI'd it, I suppose, to try and find it. But I think this is one of those where we should stop berating governments for having U-turns, because if you've got a bad idea, turn around and face the opposite direction from it. Because if you make a government fear a U-turn, they'll follow through on bad ideas.
No, well, yeah, and I get that, and I think that can be sensible at times.
For one or two.
For one or two. But when you've got almost one a month since you've taken office, does that not just indicate that the government doesn't know what it's doing?
It could do, but I still think on this one we should give them a pass because they would be stopping a bad idea. They'd be no longer following through on something that weakens security for us. So maybe we don't... I mean, at 14 U-turns, it's just angular momentum continuing to spin them round. This will just happen at this stage, won't it?
It's that number one rule of politics, isn't it? They say never apologise, never explain. But it looks like, well, I'm kind of hoping there will be another U-turn on this, but it's a bit rich, isn't it, of the Conservatives suddenly to come up with this, because, of course, they were the ones that set this in motion.
Well,
when
they did, yeah.
When the International Criminal Court only advised that maybe Britain should hand over the Chagos Islands, the Conservatives were backing this. James Cleverly, the Foreign Secretary at the time, was backing this. But I also think Labour might be breathing a bit of a sigh of relief this morning because I don't think they'd have got this through the House of Lords.
Because it was due to be read this afternoon.
It was due to be read. I don't think they'd have got it through. There was a huge groundswell against it, and quite rightly too. It's the most ludicrous, self-defeating decision. I think this, or one of the most ludicrous self-defeating decisions this government has made. So they're probably breathing a quite sigh of relief this morning. And let's see what Trump does next. It's all up in the air. He's doing all sorts of things. Who knows what he's going to do do next. But calling this Chagos surrender an act of great stupidity is certainly going to help, I think, not just the parliamentarians who are opposed to this deal, but also the Chagosians themselves, who do not want to be handed over.
Right, so you praise Trump in one paper. What do you do? What do you say? What are you saying about Trump in the next one?
Oh my goodness! I mean, I'm sorry. His comments. You know, he has made appalling remarks about British and other NATO troops in Afghanistan, basically saying that they really didn't do much to support the war there. Well, the Independent this morning. You can only get the Independent online now, but there's a really quite shocking front page picture of every troop who's been killed in Afghanistan, every British troop who was killed in Afghanistan. You know, his remarks are absolutely...
And I always think it's not just the ones who were killed, I'm afraid.
It's not, that's
which
true.
Was terrible enough. I, over the years, I'm sure you have as well, Stephen, you've met so many people who have been horrifically maimed. Yeah. So many, I mean, because of those... what were they?
IEDs.
The IEDs, yes. So many people lost their legs. It's just horrific. And for
Never mind the mental anguish, actually,
that too, absolutely. But a lot of our viewers are this morning pointing out that we're outraged by what Trump said, but we should be equally, if not more, outraged by the way we treat our soldiers and veterans and armed forces.
Yeah, absolutely right. You know, we've prosecuted armed forces personnel for doing their jobs. We've sent them into battle with appalling equipment that doesn't work properly. You know, there are things like Gulf War syndrome when they're exposed to chemicals that actually damage them physically.
And when they're still in the military, they're housed badly.
Well, the thing, I was talking to a friend of mine, lives up in Inverness. The Cameron Barracks troop barracks there are being taken over for asylum seekers. They're putting 1.3 million in to refurbish the barracks for asylum seekers, but you know, the troops were perfectly allowed to live there in substandard circumstances. The whole thing's a mess. So yeah, I think there is also a huge element of hypocrisy. People like Keir Starmer, arguably Kemi Badenoch as well, coming out and saying it's appalling what Trump has said, but look at how they've treated their own troops. Absolutely shocking.
Steve?
Yeah, I mean, also I'll add to that, give them a few more decades of the chance of legal repercussions from being in the army, we now learn. So that's not, it's all bad, isn't it? But two things can be true at the same time. We should be doing more. Donald Trump definitely made a mistake. This is the kind of comment that goes against the people who support him in this country. His base in America, I suppose, might not particularly care if they're just thinking America first. But the kind of people who ordinarily would be saying, I like Trump, I like what he does, thoroughly disagree with this. He's made a mistake on this. And the problem with Trump and his style, his brand almost, is that he can't do a U-turn. He can't step down. And he can't say, I misspoke. He has to follow through with it. A man who has to say a typo on Twitter years ago, the Kafefi thing. People who know what it means know what it meant. He couldn't even say, whoops, it was a typo. If you can't admit that, you can't admit saying something wrong here, which is a shame.
Interesting, though, if you watch the clip, what is clear is it's just him rambling on. I don't think he sort of intended to say it, really.
Yes.
It's just the way it came out. But it's why you've got to be... When you're talking about dead soldiers, which is effectively what this boils down to, you've got to watch what you say. You can't just dismiss 457 families in this country.
No, it's appalling. But Steve's right. He won't apologise.
No, he won't.
Absolutely should apologise, but he won't apologise. Unfortunately, that is the nature of the man.
So how about turning a negative into a positive and actually doing something for our veterans and our armed forces now? Don't hold your breath.
Would be nice, wouldn't it? Steve, should we have a look at the Times? And having children can be the key to a longer life if you don't overdo it.
Exactly. Well, that's most things in life don't overdo it.
Well,
I think it's in that category as well. So they've done a study, and it says for people who have more than half a dozen, so already, wow, ouch. That's what they've looked at. If you have lots of kids, then for the women, it's not good. There are two factors that they've measured: the odds of you dying young, and there's some chemical markers on DNA that looks at your biological age. Both of which are not particularly good if you have over half a dozen. But also, if you have no children for women, you also get this increased ageing. They plot that on a graph. Your sweet spot is somewhere between 2 and 3, which actually is like the replacement rate for society anyway. There's something magical about this. This is like nature.
Well, 2.4 children was always the
thing, yes. It's gone down now.
Yeah, 2.1 for replacement. So it's somewhere in that between 2 and 3 is the right amount, that if people do that, we'd be replacing society.
If only all women who wanted 2.4 children could just make it magically happen. But unfortunately, that's not the way it is it? But yeah, I think anyone who's had kids knows they can be terribly ageing. All those sleepless nights don't do anything for you.
It never stops.
All right, you two, thank you. We'll see you later.
Let's find out about the weather now with Annie.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning, welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. Some sunshine on the cards for some of us through today, but there will be further heavy rain across southwestern areas as well as in the northeastern area of low pressure down in the southwest. Continues to bring pretty strong winds to southwestern areas. Heavy rain and hill snow still continuing across the north and east. But between those two areas, a slice of sunshine, particularly across southeastern areas of England actually. Plenty of dry weather, still a fairly brisk breeze. It's not going to be especially mild out there at all, but certainly better than it has been recently for some of us. Some weather to get outside in at least this Saturday. Into this evening, the wet weather, the windy weather continues across the southwest, and the rain continues to fall across northeastern areas of Scotland. We've still got a yellow rain warning in force actually for parts of Scotland in the north and east. Here we could see some impacts from the rain. It's been raining for a couple of days now actually. Some wet weather spreading into parts of Northern Ireland, remaining dry though across much of northern England and across the southeast. Should be a fairly clear evening here. A different story though in the southwest. As you can see, heavy bands of rain and brisk southwesterly winds. They will move northwards through the night, taking the rain with it. Some dry weather now and again across the southwest, but plenty more rain to come into Sunday. And across the east actually it does turn much drier, but it will be a cloudy start to the day on Sunday. Lots of cloud and rain around. Another mild night for the time of year. And quite a cold feel actually through Sunday across many northern and eastern areas. We've got quite a brisk easterly wind here, and elsewhere lots of cloud and rain. There will be some slices of dry weather here and there. It's not going to rain all day for everyone, and the rain's not going to be that heavy on Sunday actually, so you should still be able to get out if you are wanting to. Temperatures quite close to average, a little below where we've got that easterly wind on the east. See you again soon.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's the final week to see how you can become our biggest cash prize winner to date, as there's a simply stunning £85,000 in tax-free cash to be won. Go on that dream holiday, buy that brand new car, or just relax in the knowledge that the rest of the year could be on us. But you have to hurry, as lines close on Friday the 30th of January. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11, only on GB News.
Yeah, that tea party taking place a little bit later on today. But before all of that, we are here on Pooh Bridge for an extra special game of Pooh Sticks. I've got some sticks here from the 100-acre wood that we're going to be using. There's a whole host of people here who have wanted to play Pooh Sticks with me. Lily and Anya have also been collecting sticks today. They're a big fan of Winnie the Pooh. Anya, what's Lily's favourite character?
It is Winnie the Pooh.
And what is it about Winnie the Pooh that's so popular, not only from people like you growing up, but also Lily now?
Well, we love all the stories and how there is a message from each of the stories as well. We read them every night. And what do you love about Winnie the Pooh as well? Honey, don't you? The little honey pots.
Amazing. Well, you get your sticks ready. Acoustics. We've also got a running group who have come here especially today to mark 100 years of Winnie the Pooh from Haywards Heath. They have all come prepared with their sticks. Some have even brought sticks from home. Sticks are at the ready. You've brought your sticks from home. What's your technique?
Well, mine are actually probably quite wet, which I've heard is not a good thing. I think they need to be a bit drier.
In 3, 2, 1, go. Right, the sticks are in the water, but who is going to win here at Pooh Sticks Bridge? Oh, it wasn't me. There's the first stick to come through. Whose was that? Becky, you are the winner. Congratulations of Pooh Sticks on Pooh Sticks Bridge. But this is just the first round. They've got a whole clipboard here. There's 30 of them come for a whole tournament here today to play Pooh Sticks on what is Winnie the Pooh Day, marking 100 years since Winnie the Pooh was first published back in Christmas Eve of 1925. And this, of course, Winnie the Pooh Day being marked today on the birthday of A.A. Milne.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Good morning. Britain backs its veterans after President Trump's slur on NATO troops.
Consider President Trump's remarks to be insulting and frankly appalling.
And now Prince Harry has also weighed in. He's reminded the White House of the lives sacrificed by the British and Allied forces alongside the United States.
That's as the US president said NATO soldiers stayed a little back off the front line during 2 decades of fighting against the Taliban.
Meanwhile, Sir Keir Starmer is forced into a humiliating possible retreat after pulling his Chagos Islands bill amid mounting US opposition, as President Trump has branded the plans an act of great stupidity.
Labour's High Command is piling pressure on Andy Burnham. He's got just 24 hours to decide whether to stage, or at least try to stage, a dramatic return to Westminster.
They're not in real world, really. Small villages, even towns, cities like that. What would you do without a pub? Where would we go?
Yes, it's pubs across the country. They're still waiting to find out the details of a government support package. Many are fearing permanent closure.
Good news if you're flying out of Heathrow, because you can now leave liquid in your bags, up to 2 litres actually, going through security. It's all thanks to new high-tech security scanners.
Were you glued to your telly last night for the Traitors finale? Neither was I. Lots of people, though, were desperate to see who came out on top. We're going to be joined later by a former finalist to unpack everything that Traitors has to offer.
Struggling Tottenham have moved to add experience to their defence by opening talks to sign Liverpool's Andy Robertson. It's a big day of Premier League action too. And in Melbourne, Novak Djokovic bids for a place in the last 16 at the Australian Open.
Good morning. Some sunshine for many central areas. Rain sandwiching that sunshine, though, for the northeast and southwest. I'll have all the details a little later on.
It's just gone 7 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
And I'm Anne Diamond, and this is GB News Breakfast.
I'm a bit worried. Oh, go on.
I was going to say, to me, there's nothing worse than a television programme that everybody's talking about. Is that what you were going to talk about too?
Yeah.
Everybody's talking about it. You must watch it. It's on every front page, no matter what else is happening in the world. And that's Traitors. And it makes me more determined not to watch it.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, I think we're cut from the same cloth with stuff like that. It just turns me off completely.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, as well, in this day of binging, I feel a bit uncomfortable about talking about Traitors. We've got a guest on later. Because a lot of people won't know what's happened.
Absolutely.
They'll be binging it, they'll be storing it up so they can sit and watch the whole series in a couple of nights.
Yeah.
So can
we
put a spoiler warning out there?
Well, I was going to say, can we sort of do this interview, which is with a former finalist,
yes,
without giving away what happened last night?
Yeah.
Do you think that's our duty?
I think we should try.
I think we should try.
Yeah, you've got to protect it.
So please don't worry, we won't give it away if you haven't known. Because there will be people
viewers
yelling at the television right now saying, don't tell me, I'm looking forward to watching it later.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's like the football results, isn't it? If you don't want to hear the results, look away now.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
We need to do a lot of that. I just don't understand all these people obsessed with these competition shows. It's never been my cup of tea, really.
But even the Queen keeps going on about how... Queen Camilla keeps going on about how much she loves Strictly.
Oh, that's true.
Oh, terribly
Very
enthusiastic
passionate about
fan.
it, yes. Oh, well. Anyway, we're talking to, what's his name? Kieran something or other. Kieran Thompson. His name isn't on this sheet of paper, actually. Kieran Thompson, who was in season 1, yes. Should know it.
I don't even know how many seasons there have been.
I'm sure he's a very nice man.
Oh, absolutely.
Anyway, he's coming in the
And
studio.
it clearly is a very good, competition programme.
Oh, yeah.
But
It's got people's imagination.
one day we'll get around it, maybe.
Tell you what, just very briefly, because we're getting yelled at, but did you know it's not just a UK show?
No.
Because I saw a thing online, and it was about it's in America, and there's all this thing about they've got a secret traitor this year, which is so actually we're only copying what they're already doing in America, which puts you off a bit, doesn't it?
Well, the Strictly is all over the world, isn't it?
Yeah, but at least we
started different things.
At least we started that.
We did start that. Yeah.
But I don't think we started traitors. Anyway, not that it matters. Right,
but we're already talking about it. We shouldn't be.
I know. There's a lot going on between the United States and Britain at the moment. I mean, obviously, comments from Trump. It's begging the question a little bit, is it threatening our special relationship?
Do we still have a special relationship, really? So Keir Starmer has publicly now criticised Donald Trump's claims that NATO troops went exactly front line in Afghanistan. He's called it insulting and frankly appalling.
Let me start by paying tribute to the 457 of our armed services who lost their lives in Afghanistan. I will never forget their courage, their bravery, and the sacrifice that they made for their country. There are many also who were injured, some with life-changing injuries. And so I consider President Trump's remarks to be insulting and frankly appalling. And I'm not surprised they've caused such hurt to the loved ones of those who were killed or injured.
Well, whatever you think of Keir Starmer, that was the right thing to say, frankly.
Yes, but what of the White House? What are they saying? Well, overnight, a White House spokesperson told GB News this. President Trump is absolutely right. The United States of America has done more for NATO than any other country in the alliance has done combined.
Yeah, but that's not the problem. No one's sort of disputing that. That's not the issue, is it? Actually, Prince Harry, who, obviously has his ups and downs, is certainly in public opinion.
Yeah, but he served.
He served, and this is where he's strong, actually, because this is what he cares about. And he said, I served there, I made lifelong friends there, and I lost friends there. The United Kingdom alone had 457 service personnel killed. Thousands of lives were changed forever. Mothers and fathers buried sons and daughters. Well, again, Harry, right thing to say.
Yeah, and well worded, I think, as well, because he's just basically reminding everyone that more respect should be shown to people who serve. So, I mean, is this going to be a very awkward moment between the UK and the US? Should the president apologise? Is it realistic to expect him to?
Let's talk to former British military advisor to the United States, Major General Chip Chapman. Chip, as always, it's good to see you. Are you surprised that Trump actually came out with this?
Well, not really, because he's got a habit of shooting from the hip, putting stuff on tweets. So it's a sort of character trait that he has. But I don't think he's going to apologise because of those character traits. That would show a vulnerability in him, and he doesn't empathise with other people. So that isn't going to happen. On the wider question of is there a fracture in the UK-US relationship, I think the answer to that will be no. I think we have to always remember that America is the indispensable nation. It is still the fundamental power in the world, and to fracture that relationship would be absolutely insane to do. And indeed, when I served in the United States, that was the time of WikiLeaks, when the Americans were spying on Angela Merkel, for example. And again, the phrase was used there, we're the indispensable nation, not because people trust us, not because people like us, but because people need us. And we still need America because of its diplomatic power, its military power, its economic power. So to sever that would be absolutely wrong. And one of the things Britain's been pretty good at doing is being a bridge between America and Europe. Sometimes we were used as a Trojan horse for American interests in Europe. Now, in the last few weeks, you could say that we are being used as the Trojan horse for European interests with America. And in a way, Keir Starmer's not played that too badly.
A lot of our viewers are getting in touch saying that the King is due to visit Washington quite soon. Maybe he shouldn't go. But isn't this the very time we need possibly his soft diplomacy?
That's exactly the right word, Anne. So Trump really understands two things. The first thing he understands is hard power. And in terms of the international system, a guy who's driving a bicycle down one part of the road cares more about international relations than the guy driving a tank on the other side of the road. Trump's in that tank. That is hard power from Trump's perspective. One of the things about the royal family has been great as a representative of the UK for soft power. So it is that draw of Trump to the royal family, which is why the King's visit is so significant. And we've got to remember, this is going to be the year of the 250th anniversary of American independence. It's a significant anniversary, and that is the life of America. It is not the life of Trump, and we have to separate the two things sometimes.
It's so interesting to hear you reason it. I mean, that's a soldier's training, isn't it? You're thinking tactically. You're not thinking about the characters involved. I mean, you can be as annoyed as hell, if you want, about the person you're fighting, but you've still got to think about, it's like choosing your battles, isn't it? How to wage that battle. And if soft diplomacy is better now than trading insults, then that's the best way to go?
Yeah, it is. And we've got to also remember that Trump wasn't characterised by either Keir Starmer or by Prince Harry as he must apologise to the Brits. He said it was wrong and that if he'd misspoken, he would have apologised. But no one gave that barb at Trump deliberately, because one thing you don't want to do is insult him directly, because he will blow back at that.
I tell you, the one thing that surprises me, though, I mean, you talk about Trump's personality traits, and yes, he's certainly not your standard politician, you know, by any stretch of the imagination. But we know America is reverential towards its armed forces, and particularly the fallen. You know, it's a very important thing for the American psyche. And so to ignore that for any other nation seems very odd. That's what I'm struggling to get my head around. And you think about those, we talk about the injured, but, you know, there's 457 families in this country who will never, ever recover.
Well, that's right. And sometimes we talk about a sacrifice gap between the military and civilians. And really, Trump's administration, Trump 2.2, sort of emphasises that in a way. It's always been the case that large American administrations are full of ex-military people. It's part of their psyche in terms of service and, of course, the money they get for going to college. The only person who served in the Trump administration in a military role is the Secretary of War now, Hegseth. He is the sole man. The rest of them are surrounded by real estate moguls or economic sort of financiers. That is also dangerous in international relations, particularly the people he's sort of putting towards Ukraine. So that's another interesting development, where you treat countries as commodities, not as sovereign independent nations.
It's depressing, but I suppose there's also realism, isn't it, that how quickly we forget the last war. I don't mean, well, I mean the last war we fought, the last battle we fought, can be very quickly forgotten by most people. And as you say, there are families who will never forget for the rest of their lives.
That's absolutely true, but this is a story which people will forget quickly. The people who've lost loved ones will not forget, and as you rightly say, Anne, will never forget. But this is not front-page headlines in America. It's seen as a diplomatic spat, not necessarily just in the UK, but in Europe, because of course all the other nations have been outraged as well. The second nation in terms of troop deaths after us were Canada, and we know that that's a bigger issue for America at the moment, with the relationship with Canada as the 51st state, or Carney's speech in Davos this week.
And of course the man who controls the narrative and could just change tomorrow's front pages just like that is Trump. The next thing he says could be completely different subject in a different way, and we'll all be talking about that.
And it will be, because we've got two front burner issues at the moment. The first one is Ukraine, and the second one is, will anything happen with Iran? This will be wiped off the pages very, very quickly. Sad for those who've lost their loved ones. But one of the good things that I think has come out of it potentially for the British veterans is this, again, has showed to me a sort of connection and relevance of the sacrifice of the armed forces.
Yeah, that does seem to be building at the moment. That can only be a positive thing. We've got to leave it there just for now, but we'll speak to you later, Chip. Thank you.
And then, of course, there's the Chagos matter, because the Chagos deal has apparently been put on pause or on ice, as the Prime Minister has announced that he's pulling out and that the bill is not going to be, it was going to be debated in the House of Lords, I think, this afternoon, and it's not going to be now. So what's going on there? Joining us now, Deputy Editor at The Spectator, Freddie Gray. Morning, Freddie. Suddenly everything's changed again, and does this mean Chagos is not going to happen?
Well, a lot of people will be hoping so. I think there's very few people outside maybe a handful of Labour people and some international lawyers who think this is a good idea in Britain. And I think it's very interesting. I think it's probably a combination of factors here. You've got the parliamentary spat coming up. You've got the Tories in the House of Lords finding legal problems with the bill, particularly this international treaty between the US and the UK over sovereignty over the Chagos Islands. And the other factor, which I think is more important, because often international law is just kind of window dressing for actually hard power politics, is Trump. Trump mentioning the stupidity of the deal. And Nigel Farage has spent a year at least, and other politicians have too, but Farage has been at the forefront of this, of trying to get Americans to raise their concerns about the bill and to get Trump to denounce it. And they were very, very disappointed. And Labour were absolutely thrilled last year when a lot of people were hoping Trump, because various Secretary of State Marco Rubio had said something, Mike Waltz, the then National Security Advisor, had said something about his concerns about Chagos. And then Trump just shrugged his shoulders standing next to Keir Starmer and said, oh, it's going to work out. It seems okay. And everybody who was hoping that the bill would be stopped was very disappointed. But then this week, there's been a sort of second surge. And Farage spoke to Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary. He spoke to Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. And I think it's pretty clear that the lack of American backing, and not just what Trump said, but a lot of very senior people in the American administration, now knowing that they had Trump's support on this, said, no, we're going to try and push as hard as we can on the UK to stop it. And let's hope, I mean, I hope that it is, because it's a disastrous, it will cost billions.
But in terms of this, I mean, the Tories are talking about this 1966 treaty between the UK and the US. I mean, the Tories have got their own questions to answer, haven't they, Freddie, over this whole deal anyway? However, because of this treaty, does that mean that if the US actually doesn't agree formally to it, they can legally, if you like, stop it?
Well, I think that might be the actual thing that was really at stake in March. And that's why Labour was so pleased that Trump just seemed to nod it along. Because I think the thinking is if the US do object, then they will be able to stop it, both on legal grounds and just in terms of the way in which America can make life difficult for Britain if it really objects to something like this. So, yes, I think the as I said, international law, you know, the whole reason for doing it, allegedly, was international law. But a lot of people suspect there's something more sinister going on there. And it's actually a Labour attempt to placate China, which has a tremendous influence over Mauritius, which is, of course, who we're handing it back to. But I think, you know, we've been talking a lot, I've heard you talking a lot this morning about Trump offending all these people, and it's absolutely right, he has been offensive to people. But then it's also worth reminding that he can do things like this at one stage, and then on the other front, he can do something that's tremendously beneficial to Britain. If his intervention has helped stop this deal, he's done something brilliant for as far as a lot of people are concerned. And it'll
saved us a lot of money.
Well, exactly. It was quite funny there because this week he said on the Chagos issue specifically, he said, do they need the money that badly? Clearly not realising that we're not selling out, we're buying out in an absurdly self-defeating way.
Yeah. Can I ask you about this? Because it's been mentioned a few times. Every time it's talked about, we're told, and Keir Starmer has insisted, the Chagos deal with Mauritius is needed for security reasons. Do we understand what that actually is? I mean, I've never been able to get my head around it.
Well, I think the thinking there is that the Diego Garcia, which is the military base there, the joint military base between the US and UK, the current terms of the deal would lease Diego Garcia back to US and UK. And the argument that Labour would make is that if they didn't secure that lease, then Diego Garcia would be up for grabs and possibly Chinese influence. But I think a lot of people who know how Mauritius operates and who know what's really going on in that region say that actually the lease terms could easily be abrogated later on, and it's a very dangerous thing to do.
OK. Freddie, thank you very much indeed. Appreciate it.
Confounding, isn't it, really, trying to get your head around some of the reasons that we even... Well, we'll see what happens to it. Thank you very much, Freddie. Now, the Prime Minister is under a lot of pressure at the moment on both sides of the Atlantic because his former deputy, Angela Rayner, says that Andy Burnham should not be blocked from a potential return to the Commons. So she's sort of got involved.
Yes, which is interesting, isn't it? There was talk... Was it Wes Streeting was saying at one stage, or it was being rumoured at least, that, you know, he was sort of trying to get Angela Rayner on board for a double ticket. And people were then saying, well, why would she want to be... She'd want to go for the top job herself, wouldn't she? And yet, maybe she's trying to get on a double ticket with Andy Burnham. I don't know. It's a funny one.
It's a funny one, especially since she's bought that rather lovely apartment on the south coast.
Yes. Anyway, maybe she's just lending her voice to it to upset the apple cart. She is, we reckon, backing Burnham to stand in the Gortland-Denton by-election, and she is expected to make a public statement about it at Labour's North West Regional Conference later today.
Will it work? Well, it is quite a setback for Keir Starmer, because if Andy Burnham can get a common seat, then that gives him a platform on which he could launch some sort of future leadership challenge. But, of course, he's not the only one who fancies the leadership.
No. Tom Slater from Spiked Online joins us now. Morning, Tom.
Morning.
It's a big if, though, isn't it? I mean, this is it's a heck of a gamble for Andy Burnham.
No, it is, and we've seen him pull back before, haven't we? Just ahead of Labour Party conference, he was giving a lot of very critical interviews about Starmer and the Labour government, but then he was quite promptly told to get back in his box, and he did. This time around, he's also kind of being bounced into a decision. The application's already open on Friday night. He has to declare by 5 p.m. this evening, even though anyone else who wants to declare has got until the end of Sunday. So it's essentially you get the feeling that he's being forced to make a call here. Now, it's not entirely within his gift. The Labour's National Executive Committee could still put some obstacles in his way. They're apparently not particularly happy that he would be leaving the mayoralty open because that would cost money. It could also potentially cause problems for them politically. And also there's been some talk and some reports that they would try and obstruct him via demanding an all-women shortlist, for instance, because currently women are just less than 50% of the Parliamentary Labour Party. So a huge call for him. He's made no secret of his leadership ambitions, but is this the right time to move? That's the question they'll be asking.
And why is Angela Rayner getting involved?
Well, I think obviously her... the way in which she was left the cabinet was largely obviously down to her own doing and her own tax affairs and so on and so forth. But she's clearly not lost much credibility in the Labour Party. There's still a lot of fond feelings towards her. And this is a way of her kind of exercising her influence. She is also kind of more politically aligned, I would say, with Andy Burnham in his current incarnation. He's shape-shifted a fair bit.
Yeah, because he was very much Blairite, wasn't he?
Exactly, which is something that he's now trying to make everyone forget. He's pulled off a tremendous trick, Andy Burnham, which is he's trying to pose, and quite successfully, as a kind of great outsider in politics. You know, the king of the North who has been otherwise ignored by the Westminster Circus, despite the fact that he spent 15 years in Parliament, was a minister in various governments and was at one point the consummate insider. But I think this is very much the pitch he's going to want to make to the Labour faithful, that he is a more kind of authentically left-wing potential leader, but also that he doesn't have the baggage of a North London-based lawyer as Keir Starmer is.
Yeah. All right. Tom, thank you very much indeed. Good to see you this morning.
And then, of course, there's Wes Streeting as well. He must be wondering what on earth's going on, and how who gets ahead. he could get ahead, couldn't he, by declaring, I don't know.
Oh.
I mean, and of course, the way the Labour Party actually organises these things is horrendously complicated. As anyone will remember, the Battle of the Two Brothers.
Well, but the whole point of it is that we're talking about leadership challenge, 18 months after Keir Starmer wins the general election with a huge majority, and that in and of itself is frankly crazy, isn't it? I mean, you shouldn't be in that position with a huge majority 18 months in.
No, but the government already feels fractured as well, doesn't it? On nearly any...
Everything.
You pick a subject and there are fractured lines showing.
Anyway, look, I'm sure you'll let us know what you think about that. gbnews.com/your say. Let's have a look at the weather for you with Annie.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning, welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. Some sunshine on the cards for some of us through today, but there will be further heavy rain across southwestern areas as well as in the northeastern area of low pressure down in the southwest. Continues to bring pretty strong winds to southwestern areas. Heavy rain and hill snow still continuing across the north and east. But between those two areas, a slice of sunshine, particularly across southeastern areas of England actually. Plenty of dry weather, still a fairly brisk breeze. It's not going to be especially mild out there at all, but certainly better than it has been recently for some of us. Some weather to get outside in at least this Saturday. Into this evening, the wet weather, the windy weather continues across the southwest and the rain continues to fall across northeastern areas of Scotland. We've still got a yellow rain warning in force actually for parts of Scotland in the north and east. Here we could see some impacts from the rain. It's been raining for a couple of days now actually. Some wet weather spreading into parts of Northern Ireland, remaining dry though across much of northern England and across the southeast. Should be a fairly clear evening here. A different story though in the southwest. As you can see, heavy bands of rain and brisk southwesterly winds. They will move northwards through the night, taking the rain with it. Some dry weather now and again across the southwest, but plenty more rain to come into Sunday. And across the east actually it does turn much drier, but it will be a cloudy start to the day on Sunday. Lots of cloud and rain around, another mild night for the time of year. And quite a cold feel actually through Sunday across many northern and eastern areas. We've got quite a brisk easterly wind here, and elsewhere lots of cloud and rain. There will be some slices of dry weather here and there. It's not going to rain all day for everyone, and the rain's not going to be that heavy on Sunday actually, so you should still be able to get out if you are wanting to. Temperatures quite close to average, a little below where we've got that easterly wind on the east. See you again soon.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Do stay with us because still to come, there's good news if you're planning to travel from Heathrow Airport. We'll tell you all about it next, but it's all to do with your measuring your liquids, 300 mils or something we were allowed when
100,
to put it in little, is it 100? Yeah. And you had to put it in little plastic bags and all the rest of it.
It's all changing.
It's all changing, yeah.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, this is Jubes & Co with you.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here. GB News, Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
It's 7:29 and it's time for the Daily Reflection.
GB News Daily Reflection.
Hi, I'm Mike, a vicar in the Church of England. If ever we're tempted to think that God is boring, we need only look at Jesus' first miracle, turning water into wine. A wedding feast hits disaster as the wine runs out, and Jesus effectively says, "The drinks are on me." It's a glimpse into a God whose purpose is celebration and joy. But there's more. See, the guests marvel that the best wine has been kept until the end. And oh, how that speaks to a deep ache in the human heart. See, the tragic reality is that joy eventually fades and life eventually ebbs. And yet Jesus declares that his very mission is to reverse that story, to offer hope beyond decay, to promise that the best is yet to come. Friends, the destiny of the world is not cosmic death, but the renewal of all things. Now you might ask, how can intelligent people believe this? Because the one who promised it himself defeated death. Millions of people throughout history, including some of our greatest minds, have examined the evidence for Christ's resurrection and found it compelling. And if he truly rose from the dead, then his promise stands. For those who trust in him, the best is not behind us, but ahead.
And there you go. Best is yet to come, which is a very positive way of looking.
That's the only way to look at things, I think.
Now, best may be yet to come if you're a flyer, a frequent flyer from Heathrow at least, because Heathrow has ended that 100 millilitre liquid rule for hand luggage and getting out and put it in a separate plastic bag and all that hoo-ha.
Yes, exactly. They've been playing with it for some time, but it is expected to lead to, less time spent, undressing practically when you're going through security, because it's going to get rid of 16 million plastic bags a year as well.
Yeah, that's good.
Gosh, there's a lot.
Should we talk to travel correspondent for The Independent? Because if anyone knows about this, it's Simon Calder. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I do have some skin in the game because I used to frisk people at Gatwick Airport. I mean, it was a job, not a hobby.
I'm glad to hear it.
So, but this was in the days before the liquid ban, which, as you know, came in 20 years ago.
Is it that long? Have we put up with it for that long?
Yep, and this was as a result of the so-called liquid bomb plot. People were jailed for conspiring to murder as a result of that. But you might remember it was an August day, and suddenly all the passengers weren't allowed to take any kind of cabin luggage at all. Even if you were flying transatlantic, you couldn't have a pen because that's got liquid in it. After about 3 months, they brought in the 100 millilitre rule. You've got to have nothing over 100 millilitres. It all has to be in a little plastic bag.
Which I have to say was a nightmare if you're a mum with a baby that will need to be fed on board.
Yes, well, I mean, there
were exceptions, but you had to go through all the rigmarole.
Oh, exactly. Anyway, that was brought in as a temporary measure 20 years ago. Boris Johnson, you might remember, was Prime Minister in 2019. He said, right, I've sorted it. It's all going to be fine by 2022. We're going to get all this fancy new kit based on medical scanners and everything will be fine. That deadline was missed, and so was the next one in 2024. And finally, almost all the airports have now got all the new kit. You will have seen it if you've been through an airport. It looks like huge freezers or something, very different from the normal X-ray scanners. But in the meantime, A lot of those airports have been told, well, we're not quite happy with it yet. So you might have all the new kit, which Manchester does, for example, third busiest airport in the UK, but you're not allowed to get rid of the liquids rule. However, at Heathrow, if you've got a litre or even 2 litres of liquid, there's no need to chuck it in the bin. You can take it on board. But then, of course, you might think, I flew out from Heathrow to Paris or Amsterdam or Frankfurt or whatever. I'll be able to do the same coming back. No, you won't.
No.
So we've still got to have the little mini bottles and the bags and the rest of it, but just for the return journey.
Yes, and the only safe thing to do is to assume that you're still going to be limited to 100 millilitres, and that isn't just toothpaste and sunscreen. It's even includes things like jam and soft cheese. I've had confiscated in France.
For women as well, a makeup bag, your average makeup bag is a nightmare. You either have to put it in the hold, but you may need it on a long journey. So you have to then have different makeup for different bags. It has been very difficult.
Well, yes, and of course, bags go missing, and the best way to make sure that your bag isn't going missing is to take it all as cabin baggage. And this, if you're flying out of Heathrow, will help. But I checked the 10 biggest airports in continental Europe, places like Amsterdam, Paris, Frankfurt, Madrid. They've still got the 100 millilitre rules. The only two which don't are Dublin and Rome. And elsewhere, well, it's tricky. Lots of people also will be buying duty-free, or maybe even taking their own drinks from home, some lovely English sparkling wine, for instance. You might think, I'll take it through Heathrow, but if you're connecting at a number of hubs, you won't be able to take it through. So wherever you're going, I think you just have to, after this reasonably good news, just assume that it's going to be the same old.
Actually, I mean, you think that's a litre. So if you're allowed 2 litres through Heathrow now, that's going to add an awful lot of weight to the aeroplane, isn't it?
It is. I'm not sure that they've taken that into account. As Stephen was saying, 16 million fewer plastic bags, which has to be a good thing. But yeah, more people carrying more stuff. But I suppose it also means there's far less waste, because you're not just throwing away stuff which is going to be ending up in landfill. It's been miserable. The light at the end of the horizon is that they keep saying in about 10 years, you'll just be walking down a corridor. You won't even be aware that you're being scanned, and there might be somebody at the end who says, excuse me, sir, can we just take you to one side and have a look? But otherwise, you're airside and you're good to go.
It's the stuff of dreams, Simon. Let's hope it comes sooner rather than later.
I'm not
Thanks
sure
very
whether
much
that sounds good or bad. Really.
Oh, no, it's nice.
You're being scanned to the point of security without even knowing you're being scanned.
Oh, I'm all for it. Better than queuing up, isn't it? Anyway, look, still to come. Things are heating up in the US Open. It's not just the game either. We'll get the details from Aidan in a moment.
Bowl. They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What we're going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits. You had the power then. Yeah, and now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Time for the Great British Giveaway now. You've only got a few days left to take part in this one. You could become our biggest winner to date. 85 grand up for grabs. Here's how.
It's the final week to see how you can become our biggest cash prize winner to date, as there's a simply stunning £85,000 in tax-free cash to be won. Go on that dream holiday, buy that brand new car, or just relax in the knowledge that the rest of the year could be on us. But you have to hurry, as lines close on Friday the 30th of January. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Oh, good luck indeed. Right, let's have a quick look at the sport with Aidan McGee. Good morning.
Good morning.
Talk about the heat.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, look, Yannick Sinner's been in action this morning. He did get through in 4 sets against the world number 85, Elliot Spitzeri of the USA. Now, there's more to it than that, because he admitted openly on the court in his interview afterwards that he got lucky with the heat rule. This is the HSS, the heat stress scale, which hit 5, and look, he was into the beginning of the third set, I think it was. He was looking very, very bedraggled, if you like. He was struggling with the heat. We've got some pictures, I think, of Sinner just looking particularly worn down by the heat. We'll see them in a moment, I'm sure. But look, I mean, you have to weather these storms literally to get through to the latter stages. He's in line for his 3rd successive Australian Open crown. But let's look at some of the actual. Some of the match play here. We can see it on the screen. There he is in green there. Sorry, in yellow, sorry, I should say. And looking particularly, as I say, struggling with the heat down there. 40 degrees, as I say. The ball kids have been told to put their hands on their feet between matches, because the surface heat on the hard court is just too hot. We've had play suspended on the outside courts where there's no roof. Now, the heat break allowed these show courts to get the roof across, and so that cooled the situation down, cooled the environment down, and it made for much more comfortable conditions for Sinner to then go on and win. But as I say, by his own admission, he's been lucky. But you remember last summer at Wimbledon?
Yep.
He was up against Marin Cilic, I think it was, in the quarter-final. Cilic was sailing to victory. A memorable victory would have been a major upset, and Cilic suffered injury, and Sinner went on to win. So sometimes you need these lucky breaks to help you through to where you want to go.
But the heat in Melbourne has been moaned about before, hasn't it?
Yes, it has. Well, that was the argument for maybe playing matches. Remember, there was the whole furore about Andy Murray finishing a match at 4:05 in the morning. Well,
that's right.
At least maybe that's any time you can play. And I think it calls into question the future of that particular Grand Slam. I really do. If the temperatures are going to get hotter compared to what they were.
40 degrees.
Yes, I mean, there was a final.
Seriously.
There was a final in 2012 between Djokovic and Nadal, which was played at something close to that. They did 5 hours, nearly 6 hours, in an epic 5-set final down there And I remember watching that and wondering how on earth they were getting through it. But yeah, there are problems with the weather down there, no question about that. Djokovic is in action today at around about 8 o'clock our time, looking to extend or improve the record he's got down there. But he's just itching to get that last slam, isn't he? At number 25.
So he starts playing a bit later on today.
Yes, he does. Yeah, Naomi Osaka as well. She's in action later today. I think we've got pictures of the outfit she wore earlier in the week.
Oh, she's the one that wore the extraordinary jellyfish.
I thought it was.
Outfit.
What did you think? I thought it was wicked.
Right.
I thought it was absolutely
Well,
brilliant.
I thought, is she going to play in that?
No.
No, she didn't. In fact, when she took off the sort of beekeeper's outfit, which was very weird.
Oh, I loved it.
She was a jellyfish, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was,
I can't remember the reason she wanted to be a jellyfish.
No, not me.
Something to do with her daughter's school project or something. I don't know.
OK.
But...
brings new eyes to the sport,
But it was a very acceptable tennis dress underneath.
Yeah, it was. It
fine.
didn't affect her performance. She was comfortable.
So I wonder if she'll come out wearing something different, whether that's going to be her thing.
Well, possibly. I mean, I think it would annoy you if every player started doing this, wouldn't it? It was like one of those things that would get... there'd be a bit of fatigue involved. But as a one-off, I think it's bringing new eyes to the sport. And I think it's important because tennis is at a very difficult juncture right now. And I worry that the lack of stars...
the ladies' game, I think.
Yeah, particularly the ladies' game. And also, even the men's, Anne. I mean, who is there beneath Sinner and Alcaraz? It could be this tournament could be the 5th in a row
where it's only those two, really.
And Alcaraz have played in the final, and we don't want it too processional, do we? We like competition in sport. That's the essence of it.
We do. All right, Aidan, thanks very much indeed. We've got the papers coming up for you in just a moment with Suzanne and Steve. But first, here's a European forecast.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, are you heading away this weekend? Storm Ingrid is bringing some very unsettled weather to Portugal and Spain. It's pretty wet and windy elsewhere too. The Canary Islands, though, still seeing plenty of dry weather, not especially warm, however. Very wet weather into Spain and Portugal, and some unsettled weather, thunderstorms across parts of Italy as well as the Balkans. It does look drier, though, towards Greece for the weekend. That wet weather will push eastwards later, though. Bye-bye.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in a chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
We can allow.
Stop.
You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, Parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Right, time for the papers with the comedian and GB News contributor Stephen Allen and political commentator Suzanne Evans. Morning, you two.
Morning.
Should we have a look at Angela Rayner, Steve?
Yes, exciting.
In the Telegraph.
It's popcorn again, isn't it?
This is popcorn.
Yeah, it's the skullduggery, potentially, because she's backing, and then the newspapers have made it seem like she's done more of a full-throated backing of Andy Burnham, potentially moved from being mayor to try and win this seat. She said that the NEC shouldn't block him, which actually, that could just be a valid opinion of what shouldn't happen. You shouldn't stop someone from standing for that seat. The argument would be because of then it leaves the by-election for the mayor job. I don't know. It would make Keir Starmer look incredibly weak if his NEC stops Andy Burnham going for a position that would then potentially make Keir Starmer weaker. But it is interesting. If this is proper backing by Angela Rayner, why? What's happening there? Is it that she thinks she could be back in the deputy role, or does she want the top job? And actually, she just wants Andy Burnham to scupper Keir Starmer, so when eventually, if this does play out, there'd be a leadership contest, and she could be back in the race again.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think that's my assessment of it, that is for sure. Interestingly, the Morning Star, that famous left-wing newspaper, has come out this morning and warned Keir Starmer not to block Andy Burnham standing in the seat that Andrew Gwynn has vacated, saying, you know, it's not up to him. It's an attack on democracy if he blocks it. So Keir Starmer's clearly deeply unpopular, not just in the polls, but it's looking like he's increasingly unpopular within the Labour Party
Would it matter,
as well.
though? Would it matter if he did block it and looked unpopular and weak? At least he's not going to get challenged by Andy Burnham.
No, but he might very well still be challenged, perhaps by Angela Rayner, which I think is quite shocking myself. I mean, a lot of people are now tipping her to be the next Prime Minister, a woman who's 3 times been investigated for tax avoidance, evasion even. Yeah, really quite shocking. But there you are, that's the state of politics today. But Andy Burnham, you know, again, he might not win this seat. Labour is so unpopular, you might think it's a safe seat for Labour. That might not happen. And, of course, Andy Burnham has his own baggage. He has baggage for refusing to launch the grooming gangs inquiry in his area. He's got baggage because he was Health Secretary during the Staffordshire Hospital scandal with excess deaths. So I don't think it's by any means certain that he's going to win this seat, if indeed he is allowed to stand for it.
But that's the best play for Keir Starmer, I would imagine. Let him stand, let him fail. Job sorted, and especially as there's a chance that this by-election would be landing when local elections happen, and that's the time of the year when people give the current government a kicking, which would be the worst time to try and win a by-election, wouldn't it? So that would be the best play.
And if you stand down as mayor, and you've lost everything, haven't you, really? So it's high stakes for Andy Burnham.
Yes, and it would be embarrassing as well if he did become the official Labour candidate. I mean, he can't very well have Keir Starmer going door to door, just sort of campaigning for him.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, it's a difficult
it's a very
one.
Interesting one.
He really has got a few headaches, Keir Starmer, hasn't he? Yeah. Mind you, he asked for the job, so...
And he asked for the headaches. Most of them were his own making, let's be honest.
Tell us, Suzanne, about, in the Daily Telegraph, about these genetic tests for cancer.
This is potentially revolutionary in terms of cancer treatment, actually. The NHS has been part of developed a register that can ensure fast-track screening and testing for individuals who might be more predisposed to cancer. Now, a lot of us are going to get cancer in our lifetime, half of us probably on current plans. So this idea is that this register will identify those people who are more likely to get cancer and then be able to treat them with specific treatments. So, for instance, if you're more prone to a particular type of cancer, there are other things they can do to potentially prevent it happening.
There's a data issue here, though, isn't there, Steve? Because it seems like life insurance.
True. I think you can't turn away from this potential technological breakthrough, though. This will make screening better. Screening is just blindly, let's test everyone because we've got no better clue. Whereas if we can actually find people who have the genetic markers that require greater screening, you can then focus your resources in areas that will do work. I guess you just have to put the restrictions in place to make sure that your life insurance people
Yeah,
get.
all right, but just before, because we're going to run out of time, so I just want to touch on the witches of Etsy. Steve?
Well, I'll be doing this later. On Etsy, you can pay for real witches to cast a spell for you. One of my favourite ones is for £6.60. One of them will cast a money charm. So, I mean, if it can give you the £6.60 back, that'll be a step in the right direction.
Well, yeah.
It's against the rules, though, of Etsy to sell this kind of stuff, and yet no one seems to be stopping it. Yeah, because you're not selling an actual product. I have a feeling that some of them might not even be casting the actual spells.
No.
I don't want them to come after me, because imagine the hex I'll have on me after this. But I think it all might be nonsense.
How do you know you're getting a fully paid up, properly trained witch?
Well,
there aren't any. That's the
I think, Anne, if you're going to do this kind of thing on the internet, you kind of are asking for a little bit of potentially it's not going to work, really. I mean, it's...
Yeah, but there will be people who believe it and who will spend money on it.
That
well, there are.
Goal, isn't it?
Well, that's why Etsy shouldn't be doing it.
£6.60.
Yeah, but they could charge an awful lot more.
Well, I don't know the Times quote.
I keep stopping you. I'm sorry,
Oh, sorry, I'm going to
Suzanne,
shut
we're out
up.
of time.
What a shame. It's a great story, that. We could talk all day about it.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning, welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. Some sunshine on the cards for some of us through today, but there will be further heavy rain across southwestern areas as well as in the northeastern area of low pressure down in the southwest. Continues to bring pretty strong winds to southwestern areas. Heavy rain and hill snow still continuing across the north and east. But between those two areas, a slice of sunshine, particularly across southeastern areas of England actually. Plenty of dry weather, still a fairly brisk breeze. It's not going to be especially mild out there at all, but certainly better than it has been recently for some of us. Some weather to get outside in at least this Saturday. Into this evening, the wet weather, the windy weather continues across the southwest, and the rain continues to fall across northeastern areas of Scotland. We've still got a yellow rain warning in force actually for parts of Scotland in the north and east. Here we could see some impacts from the rain. It's been raining for a couple of days now actually. Some wet weather spreading into parts of Northern Ireland, remaining dry though across much of northern England and across the southeast. Should be a fairly clear evening here. A different story though in the southwest. As you can see, heavy bands of rain and brisk southwesterly winds. They will move northwards through the night, taking the rain with it. Some dry weather now and again across the southwest, but plenty more rain to come into Sunday. And across the east actually it does turn much drier, but it will be a cloudy start to the day on Sunday. Lots of cloud and rain around, another mild night for the time of year. And quite a cold feel actually through Sunday across many northern and eastern areas. We've got quite a brisk easterly wind here, and elsewhere lots of cloud and rain. There will be some slices of dry weather here and there. It's not going to rain all day for everyone, and the rain's not going to be that heavy on Sunday actually, so you should still be able to get out if you are wanting to. Temperatures quite close to average, a little below where we've got that easterly wind on the east. See you again soon.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's the final week to see how you can become our biggest cash prize winner to date, as there's a simply stunning £85,000 in tax-free cash to be won. Go on that dream holiday, buy that brand new car, or just relax in the knowledge that the rest of the year could be on us. But you have to hurry, as lines close on Friday the 30th of January. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Prince William is the most popular member of the royal family, according to the latest tracker from YouGov. January 2026 ratings, followed very closely by his wife, the Princess of Wales. They've got favourability ratings of 74% and 77% respectively even. Princess Anne number 3, the King number 4. Now, Meghan and Andrew, where do you think they were?
Below which one? That's the question. I think Andrew's at the bottom.
Andrew is at the very bottom. It's his lowest ever favourability rating. Just 3% of the British public have a positive view of Prince Andrew.
3% have a positive... Still
3%.
But hang on, there is a principle in polling called the lizard man constant.
Oh,
now,
dear.
this is that you will always find between 3 and 5% of any poll that says something ridiculous, like lizard men are running the world.
OK.
4%, I think, was the percentage of Obama voters in America who believed Obama was the Antichrist. I mean, it's the sort of nonsense noise that you get in a poll. It's usually 3-4%.
Well, you know,
Talking of nonsense noise,
I mean, Andrew, you know, he's still a grandfather and he's still a father. Anyway, Meghan also had her worst favourability ratings ever, 19%. But the thing that struck me in this polling is that 64% of Brits think we should continue to have a monarchy, but only half think it's value for when eventually he does become king. I suspect there's going to be a lot of cost-saving measures when it comes to how the royal family is funded. There's 500 staff, just over, which are funded by the sovereign grant, which is basically our money. You know, tens of millions a year that the sovereign grant costs us. So maybe he'll take a look at that, but I am assured that he'll continue the big staple traditions that give us the USP for Great Britain. The coronation, trooping the colour, that's all staying.
That's the thing. I think the Spanish royal family is less popular than ours because they all wear suits and ties all the time. They don't have the big coronation. They don't have the pomp and circumstance. What makes our royal family so special and unique is the silly hats and the gold and the jewels.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Good morning. Britain backs its veterans after President Trump's slur on NATO troops.
Consider President Trump's remarks to be insulting and frankly appalling.
Prince Harry has also weighed in. He's reminded the White House of the lives sacrificed by British and Allied forces alongside the United States.
That's as the US president says NATO soldiers stayed a little back off the front line during 2 decades of fighting against the Taliban.
Sir Keir Starmer is forced into a humiliating retreat, or possibly so, after pulling his Chagos Islands bill amid mounting US opposition, as President Trump has branded the plans an act of great stupidity.
Labour's High Command piling pressure on Andy Burnham. He's got just until 5 o'clock tonight to decide whether to stage, or at least try to stage, a dramatic return to Westminster.
Yes, Keir Starmer may have thought that his Andy Burnham problem had gone away quietly, but he couldn't have been more wrong. So will the King of the North be our next Prime Minister? Find out more with me very soon.
They're not in the real world, really. Small villages, even towns, cities like that. What would you do without a pub? Where would we go?
Pubs across the country are still waiting to find out the details of a government support package. Many are fearing that they will have to permanently close.
Now, were you glued to your TV last night for the Traitors finale? Desperate to see who came out on top, or are you holding on to it to have a binge later on? We'll be talking to a former finalist later to unpack the twists, turns and betrayals.
Yannick Sinner admits he got lucky when a heat break intervened to save his bid to defend his Australian Open title. Novak Djokovic is in action later this morning, and we'll be looking ahead to a busy weekend in the Premier League.
Good morning. Some sunshine for many central areas. Rain sandwiching that sunshine, though, for the northeast and southwest. I'll have all the details a little later on.
It's just gone 8 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
And I'm Anne Diamond, and this is GB News Breakfast.
I'd like a heat break.
Yeah?
Be nice.
It'd be nice to have some heat.
Well, exactly.
Well,
I can't
no,
remember what it's like to feel warm outside.
Well, not outside, no, but inside.
Well,
it's hot in here today.
Is it? Oh, just nice.
Am I having
extraordinary temperatures down there, though?
Yeah, 40 degrees.
40 degrees.
In the Australian Open.
All kids have been told to put their hands on their feet instead of on the surface because it's so hot. Really? No play in the outside courts today. Too hot.
Really?
Exactly.
40 is very, very stifling.
Yes.
I don't know how you run about in there.
No, I mean, it's been described as brutal by some of the players.
I suppose it would be a topsy-turvy world for tennis, wouldn't it, if they tried to move it to later on in the year, or well, they couldn't move it.
Yeah, I mean, the argument around that is always centred around the French and Wimbledon.
Well, yes, everything's timetabled so closely now.
Yeah, so you'd have to move other events, I think, isn't it? It's been thought about before, but nothing's been done about it.
But it is a growing problem, it seems,
Yes,
doesn't it?
it does
Because
seem
more
to
and
be
more
that way.
tennis players have complained about it.
Yes.
And it does, other than playing at night.
Naomi Osaka must be quite warm in those.
In her jellyfish
outfits.
She's playing today?
Yes, she is, yeah. You don't need extra layers.
Look forward to seeing in what sort of costume she's going to play.
Could be anything today, Mr. Blobby. Maybe, something like that.
That would be hot. At 40-degree heat, that would be a bit hot.
Very entertaining, though, wouldn't it? Right, let's crack on with our main news this morning. And we're sort of asking the wider question a little bit about whether our special relationship with the States is coming under threat.
Is it even there anymore? Sir Keir Starmer has now publicly criticised Donald Trump, who claimed, of course, that NATO troops weren't exactly on the front line in Afghanistan. He said his remarks were insulting and, frankly, appalling.
Let me start by paying tribute to the 457 of our armed services who lost their lives in Afghanistan. I will never forget their courage, their bravery, and the sacrifice that they made for their country. There are many also who were injured, some with life-changing injuries. And so I consider President Trump's remarks to be insulting and, frankly, appalling. And I'm not surprised they've caused such hurt to the loved ones of those who were killed or injured.
I think he sounds quite angry there, actually, understandably so. I'm not going to criticise him for that. Overnight, a White House spokesperson has told us that President Trump is absolutely right. The United States of America has done more for NATO than any other country in the alliance has done combined. That's not the point.
No.
That's not about what he was saying,
That's not the point of the outrage, is it?
No.
Prince Harry has now weighed in on the debate, actually with a very carefully worded statement, which simply says, I served there, I made lifelong friends there, and I lost friends there. The United Kingdom alone had 457 service personnel killed. Thousands of lives were changed forever. Mothers and fathers buried sons and daughters.
Well said, Harry. Actually. Could this be the start of a fractured relationship between the UK and the US? Should the President apologise?
Well, let's hear now from an Afghanistan veteran himself, Andrew Fox, who joins us now. A very good morning to you, Andrew. What was your first impression, your first thoughts when you heard President Trump said that? And have you sort of changed your thoughts at all overnight?
Well, really, a sort of head-shaking anger and mild degree of outrage. Mr. Trump would say something so obtuse. But, you know, in terms of the way my opinion is developed, what I'd really like to say is certainly to everyone watching this who spoke out online and who spoke up for our veterans and our service personnel, it's very much appreciated, because Afghanistan does feel a bit like a forgotten war sometimes. And to know that people remember it and hold us in high acclaim as the people who fought there is really one of the good things to come out of this.
It just seems remarkable that President Trump would in effect say that people like you did not serve alongside the Americans, you served below them or behind them, when we know that isn't the case.
Well, I spent 6 months with an American Special Forces unit, and I was awarded a combat infantryman's badge, which is the one you get for being shot at. So, you know, the Americans themselves know that's not true. But in my 3 tours in Afghanistan, I served alongside Danes, Estonians, the Czechs, the Dutch. We saw Australians, Canadians. You know, this was a team effort, and I think anyone who actually served there would know this. Obviously, Mr. Trump never served. He dodged military service with bone spurs. But the point is that everyone who was on the ground there knew that it was almost a noble endeavour, and you'd go into the fight, and it wouldn't matter who was to your right or left, you know, what country's flag they had on their arm. You know, we'd all go into battle for each other, and this has really taken something quite noble and like a warrior-like ethos, and has turned it into something a little bit more tainted from Mr. Trump's comments. So that's just really sad to see.
Do you think his comments weren't so much meant to criticise anyone's soldiers and to say that anyone was in any way... well, he did actually say they were, but he said some NATO troops. In other words, it was just sort of almost a political criticism of NATO rather than saying that soldiers didn't serve bravely. I mean... He didn't mean it personally, I think. Do you think that's possible? I'm trying to find a way of sort of rationalising his comments.
Well, look, I think it plays into a wider narrative on that side of the Atlantic where he is trying to sort of run down the NATO alliance. You know, even the way he talks about it as if NATO were a separate thing to the US, when, of course, they've been the founding members and they've been, you know, the key linchpin of NATO during the Cold War. You know, this is an American endeavour, and yet now it's being spoken about as if NATO are them and us is America, and that's clearly very wrong on many levels. So I suspect there's you know, in combination with the threats he's recently made against fellow NATO members like Denmark, this is all part of a bigger picture building where I don't think the White House sees NATO as useful. They don't want it to continue, but they also don't want to unilaterally withdraw, so they just run down the alliance, because alliances run on trust, and if you don't have trust anymore, the alliance won't work. So I think he's being politically quite clever, actually.
Every cloud has a silver lining, and I wonder if we can at least take some comfort, Andrew, from the fact that there is so much outrage about what was said. I mean, when we think of, and I keep saying it this morning, 457 families changed forever, thousands of people affected by those deaths, not to mention those with physical and mental injuries as a result of this. At least we are coming to support them. We are behind them in this when they've been slighted. That's got to be at least something slightly positive, hasn't it?
To an extent, you know, I went to 13 funerals of friends and colleagues over the Afghanistan period. And my thoughts were very much with them in the immediate aftermath of Mr. Trump's comments. It must be horrifying to hear your child or your husband or your daughter's sacrifice be denigrated in such a way. Not to mention the friends that I know who've lost legs and even lost their eyesight from Afghanistan. You know, that must have been a far more brutal body blow than it was to just the average veteran. And you know, as I said right at the top, if you look at that outpouring of support that immediately followed from so many different countries, I've seen Estonians, Danes, Canadians all posting about their support for the troops who served in Afghanistan. You know, that groundswell, certainly for me, and I hope for them, really did outweigh anything that came out of Mr. Trump's mouth.
Is there any way, and a lot of our viewers are pointing this out already, we can turn our outrage at President Trump's comments into something positive for our own veterans? In other words, we as a country should look after our own veterans and our serving forces better than we do.
Well, I think that there are a raft of military charities out there who still do the incredible work to this day. You know, there are still people who need ongoing support when they need the armed forces, and the charity sector does an incredible job of stepping up. You know, my own regimental charity is Support Our Paras, and I've seen the incredible work that they do firsthand. And I think when it comes to the government, certainly, you know, veteran care is something that we need to make sure that is on their radar, and they are taking action to. And then, of course, properly funding our armed forces so that when they go into the next conflict, we don't get a repeat of Iraq where they're driving around in vehicles that aren't fit for purpose. So there's a number of things I think that we as the people, if you will, can do to both support charities, support our veterans, and make sure the government get this right.
That's a very good point. Andrew, appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Yes, and thanks for your service too.
Yeah. All right, here in the studio, US political commentator Jennifer Ewing. Before we have a look at Chagos, which I know we're going to talk about in a minute, can I ask you about this? Because, I mean, really, and this might not be resonating at home for President Trump, but he's caused a lot of damage on his reputation for even those people here who might actually support him.
Absolutely, and I certainly did not come on to defend any of his statements. You know, as has been said over and over, you know, they're hurtful, they're insulting, and they're incorrect, right? They're absolutely incorrect. So, you know, not going to defend it. I was also looking up the times in which, because I know your colleague, your Washington-based colleague, Ben Leo, had inquired about whether or not an apology would be coming, and it sounds like the White House doubled down and said, no, we meant everything we said. I do believe he was talking more in general as a slam on NATO. Still not the point. I was looking up times that Trump had apologized in the past, few and far between. I don't think that he's gonna come out and give an outright apology. What I do think, and segueing into the Chagos, is that you're going to see, as President Trump pays more and more attention to this Chagos deal being put on hold, he's going to start talking about the special relationship and the U.S. and the U.K. and how we have fought together in the past and how we need to protect this Diego Garcia. Just a thought. Again, inexcusable what he said.
But he can, just at the flick of a switch, change the whole narrative, can't he? He could say something about Chagos or even Iran today, and suddenly we'll be talking about completely different things tomorrow.
Sure. And, you know, we can't overstate it enough, inexcusable comments, but also what would be a shame is a lot of the good things that came out of Davos this week, which was, you know, NATO and indeed the UK really does need to start paying attention to the open border, to the fact that they cannot protect themselves militarily without the US help. So these are some good things that energy security was another huge one that, I mean, you know, we all pay electricity bills in this country 5 times that of the US because we refuse to drill. So, you know, there are a lot of good issues that I think if the UK were to reflect upon, I'd hate to see it too distracted by these disgraceful comments.
Yeah. In terms of Chagos, the government must be reeling a little bit. I mean, they've pulled the deal, they've pulled the bill for now. But it seems to be sort of linked to this treaty, US-UK treaty from 1966, and obviously President Trump saying it's a stupid thing to do. But it was only 6 months ago or so that he sort of said, yeah, fine. And so he sort of seemed to give it the green light.
Yeah, you're right. And I think I've been trying to think about this, and there's one of two things. Either he was not paying attention, he either hadn't been poorly advised. My understanding is somebody had told him the UK doesn't have a choice in it, right? Number one. Number two, we know that he can be at these bilateral meetings, you know, whether it's with Prime Minister Starmer, whether it's with Erdogan of Turkey, he can be quite deferential. And actually, it's sometimes when he's most diplomatic and polite. So I think he was probably just being polite to the Prime Minister when he first said that. But anybody that knows him knows his America First agenda, especially knows after the week that we've all just, you know, spent discussing Greenland, you know, there is no way he would have been okay with handing this back over to Mauritius, because one of his biggest, you know, desires is to keep Russia away from China and, you know, this.
But it was weird the other day. What was it? Yesterday, he said, "I don't know why the British, you know, are giving them to Chagos to Mauritius. Maybe they need the money." And it's as though he hadn't quite got that we're paying to give them away. We're not selling them.
And it's so funny because somebody actually did say, wait till he finds out that actually the Brits are paying for this. Like, you know, because, you know, he probably thought, oh, poor London, you know, poor England, it's going down the toilet. You know, the growth, I mean, the growth numbers that came out in the United Kingdom compared to the US the other day, it's, you know, the US is like 44 times of the growth. So he probably thinks, these guys need the money. So again, no excuse. He's got a lot going on, has changed his mind or never really understood what he said.
To say sometimes that he just says things without thinking?
Yes.
Oh,
absolutely.
But he's the president.
Sometimes, often, I know. And the other thing is, I mean, look, it's only been, a year and a few days? I mean, this man is involved in so many different things. So he's 80 years old, and, you know, he's going to misstep sometimes.
Can he put the brakes on this? Because of this, do we know if this treaty from 50-odd years ago, can he actually stop this from happening?
I mean, that's a great question. I'm not you know, a lawyer, so that's probably best question asked to somebody else. But yes, I think politically he can stop it happening. You know, one of the biggest things about this peace board that was announced over the week is we need to separate Russia from China. That was the big threat that he saw in not ending the Russia-Ukraine war, is putting Russia and China closer together. This will be another example of that, and he'll probably win the PR battle on that, as well as in this country.
OK, Jennifer, good to see you. Thank you.
Wish he'd say something about the Chinese embassy being built near the Tower of London as well. Might put a stop to that.
Yeah.
Anyway, well...
Don't.
No, I know, don't go there. Not at the moment. The Prime Minister has got a lot on his plate at the moment. He's under pressure on both sides of the Atlantic. And now at home, his former deputy, Angela Rayner, says Andy Burnham should not be blocked from a potential return to the Commons.
Yeah, she's backing the Mayor of Greater Manchester to stand in the Gorton and Denton by-election and is expected to make public comments at Labour's North West Regional Conference later today.
So it's all a bit of a headache for Sir Keir Starmer, because a Commons seat, if he got it, would give Andy Burnham a platform then, of course, to mount a future leadership challenge.
Yeah, so he'd be weak. But then if he blocks it, he also looks weak. Olivia Utley can explain it all. I mean, it's not the first time we've said it. He's put himself between a rock and a hard place.
Well, absolutely. This is such a difficult situation for Keir Starmer. After the Labour conference, where it felt as though Andy Burnham went a bit too hard and a bit too fast and seemed a bit too nakedly ambitious, if you like, I think Keir Starmer thought that his King of the North problem had slipped quietly away. Well, that is not the case at all. This Gorton and Denton seat on the outskirts of Manchester is an absolutely perfect opportunity for Andy Burnham to make a comeback. Now, a couple of days ago, it looked very much as though Keir Starmer was going to use his influence in the NEC, and he has a lot of influence in the NEC. He's managed to fill it with quite a few of his own backers to block Andy Burnham from even being able to stand for the seat, and it sounded as though Andy Burnham wouldn't even try and contest that. But yesterday and today, a number of MPs have come forward, including the most notable of which is Angela Rayner, saying, no, Keir Starmer, you can't do that. You've got to let Andy Burnham give it a shot. Now, Angela Rayner, of course, is the biggest name, but you've also got Joe White, who's the chair of the Labour Red Wall group. That's a pretty influential group. These are people who are very, very worried that they are going to lose their seats at the next election under Keir Starmer. They're knocking on doors every day and they're being told to go away in no uncertain terms. And they now think, well, let's just give another roll of the dice. We've got to. There's nothing to lose. We may as well put everything behind Andy Burnham. And you can see why they think that, because electorally, he is very, very popular. He's the only senior figure in the Labour Party who doesn't have a negative approval rating. And he's now won the Manchester mayoralty 3 times over with a big majority. These are backbench MPs who have just started being MPs in lots of cases, won their seats in 2024, want to keep their seats, and they see an election winner in Andy Burnham. Andy Burnham has until 5 o'clock today to make up his mind on whether to stand, although he is very nakedly politically ambitious and has always wanted to be Prime Minister of the Labour Party. It doesn't necessarily follow that he will throw his hat in the ring this time around, partly because there's no guarantee that he's going to win the seat.
No, exactly. I mean, there's all sorts of other people will throw themselves at this by-election.
Absolutely. You've got George Galloway, for example, independent, saying that he would stand at the next election. You've got Reform are going to go really, really big, really try and fight this election very, very hard. Zach Polanski, head of the Greens, is saying that he might fight it too. So for Andy Burnham, perhaps there's an argument why risk giving up the quite nice position he's got as Mayor of Manchester to throw his hat in the ring for this. That said, it could be his one chance to be the Prime Minister. All eyes on the clock for 5 o'clock today when we'll get that announcement or not.
All right, Olivia, thank you. Do wonder. We shall be across it here, of course, the minute we hear anything on that whatsoever. Mind you, at 8:22, let's get a check on the weather for you now with Annie.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning, welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. Some sunshine on the cards for some of us through today, but there will be further heavy rain across southwestern areas as well as in the northeastern area of low pressure down in the southwest. Continues to bring pretty strong winds to southwestern areas. Heavy rain and hill snow still continuing across the north and east, but between those two areas, a slice of sunshine, particularly across southeastern areas of England actually. Plenty of dry weather, still a fairly brisk breeze. It's not going to be especially mild out there at all, but certainly better than it has been recently for some of us. Some weather to get outside in at least this Saturday. Into this evening, the wet weather, the windy weather continues across the southwest, and the rain continues to fall across northeastern areas of Scotland. We've still got a yellow rain warning in force actually for parts of Scotland in the north and east. Here we could see some impacts from the rain. It's been raining for a couple of days now actually. Some wet weather spreading into parts of Northern Ireland, remaining dry though across much of northern England and across the southeast. Should be a fairly clear evening here. A different story though in the southwest. As you can see, heavy bands of rain and brisk southwesterly winds. They will move northwards through the night, taking the rain with it. Some dry weather now and again across the southwest, but plenty more rain to come into Sunday. And across the east actually it does turn much drier, but it will be a cloudy start to the day on Sunday. Lots of cloud and rain around, another mild night for the time of year. And quite a cold feel actually through Sunday across many northern and eastern areas. We've got quite a brisk easterly wind here, and elsewhere lots of cloud and rain. There will be some slices of dry weather here and there. It's not going to rain all day for everyone, and the rain's not going to be that heavy on Sunday actually, so you should still be able to get out if you are wanting to. Temperatures quite close to average, a little below where we've got that easterly wind on the east. See you again soon.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Well, do stay tuned because we're going to meet a former Traitors finalist to hear all about last night's season finale. Now, look, we're promising as much as we can that we will not do a spoiler. Because if you're waiting to watch it, you've recorded it or you want to binge on it, we don't want to spoil the outcome for you. But we'll talk about what it's like to take part in this astonishing TV show in a couple of moments.
Bold.
They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock, only on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Time for the Great British Giveaway now. You've just got, well, less than a week, actually, to see if you could become our biggest ever cash winner. It's £85,000, totally tax-free. Here's how you take part.
It's the final week to see how you can become our biggest cash prize winner to date, as there's a simply stunning £85,000 in tax-free cash to be won. Go on that dream holiday, buy that brand new car, or just relax in the knowledge that the rest of the year could be on us. But you have to hurry, as lines close on Friday the 30th of January. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Now, do you watch Traitors?
Oh.
Neither of us do. But there's no doubt it's one of the most successful TV shows
hugely popular
ever. Everybody's talking about it, and no matter what important world-dominating news there is on the front pages of the papers today and all other days, there's always a picture that's something to do with Traitors.
I think people watch it just because of Claudia. I mean, who doesn't love Claudia?
Well,
right?
Yeah, and she's
fabulous.
Yeah, and obviously, when you and I one day will watch it, we'll figure out
sure we will.
what her role is. I don't even really know. Anyway, viewers were, absolutely, we are told, on the edge of their seats in what's been described as bloodthirsty and a very stressful programme full of surprises.
Well, let's talk to Traitors Series 1 cast member Kieran Thompson, who joins us now. And we have to say, Kieran, we're not going to give away any of the spoilers in case people are still waiting to see it. But do you think it's been a good series? Is it, as you remember it, taking part?
Yeah, I think this. Good morning, by the way. I think this season has done really, really well. It reminds me of our season. It's very brutal. It seems to have gone back to its roots a little bit. I've been a massive fan of this season. I think it's fantastic with the secret traitor twist. It's got a lot to offer.
When you did it, I mean, how many days or weeks of your life does it take up?
I was there, I got to the final, so I was there for 3.5 weeks. And you're there with no mobile phone, no contact with your family, solitary confinement, I called it. You're not allowed out of your room. Yeah, it's quite a grueling show.
So your brain gets totally taken over and immersed in what's going on?
Yeah, it took me 3 weeks to recover. I was still waking up in gameplay, having nightmares. No, not that bad, but yeah, it really took its toll on me. Like one day is like 5 days in there. It's really hard. It does take its toll.
Is it one of these things that's filmed in advance? I mean, is it all done and dusted by the time it makes it to the telly?
Yeah, it's filmed. Ours was filmed around April, May time. So I think the last one was about June, July. So you have to wait 6 months before it comes out, and obviously keep everything quiet.
Well, that must be a bit of a struggle then, because presumably all your mates and things know you've gone in there, but you can't tell them what's happened.
Yeah, my wife asked me as soon as I got home. I said, "Do you want to wait for the show?" She's like, "Absolutely not. You need to tell me." But obviously, you can tell your loved ones, but you can't say anything to anyone else.
Well, everybody keeps the secret remarkably well then, because we know nothing at the moment about who's won, although somebody has. We're not giving it away. But
No.
has it been? I mean, was it worth doing? Because apparently, so many people are applying for the next series now. They enjoy watching it so much they want to be in it. So was it worth it for you?
Absolutely. I think they're up to 300,000 applications this year. So, yeah, it's changed my life. I'm very grateful for the opportunity. I think you don't have to win the Traitors to be successful. You just need iconic moments or drama, and that's when you're doing well.
Did you discover anything about your own character that you didn't know?
I did, yeah, great question. My gut feeling. So my gut was always right. Sometimes when you listen to other people, you get confused. Clouded judgment, but my gut really gave me my good instinct.
Yeah, it's interesting. What about your relationship with the other people on the show? Anyone you particularly connected with, or were you glad to see the back of all of them?
A few of them. Dr. Amos said it's like a trauma bond, basically. So we've been the most awkward family barbecue if you put us together in another room. But yeah, I'm really good with friends with Hannah, Will I talked to, Amos I was with last night, was with a few of the season 3 cast. So we share such a unique experience. So I don't think most people get on, but yeah, there's a few probably that don't talk, but yeah, that's just the way it is. But yeah, I've got friends for life.
Has it changed the way you live your life? In other words, are you the same about trusting people anymore?
It does make you think a little bit more, but no, I shut off the game as soon as I left there. I quite happily left it in the castle, so no, not at all.
Yeah, probably just as well.
But of course, you were in series 1. I mean,
this was 4, is it?
Yeah, I don't know if you've watched the other subsequent series, but my goodness, you can't believe the popularity, can you?
Yeah, I think they're going to clean sweep on the awards this year. They're going to, I mean, they've hit the jackpot. So I think it's in 24 countries now. And I don't even think it's peaked yet. I think it's got a lot more to offer. So, yeah, it's the biggest show on TV at the moment.
Yeah, it really is. Kieran, it's really good to see you this morning.
Thank you, Stephen. Have you not watched it yet, Stephen?
Not yet. My other half keeps nagging me.
Yeah, OK.
We'll get round to it.
We will.
Thanks, Anne.
Lovely to see you. Congratulations.
Cheers.
Too.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't know. People do rave about it, don't they?
Maybe I'll give it a go next time I'm on a flight or something. I'll download it and watch it when you're on.
Well, that's not bad when you've got nothing else to do and just download the lot. But I'm sure most of you are watching it at home. But there you go, each to their own. I prefer stuff with spaceships in it.
Yeah, you like spaceships. I'm the same, really. If it hasn't got a spaceship in it, then
what's the point?
Absolutely. Yeah. Anyway, do stay with us because we are going to be talking sport. How have Britons? Are there any Britons left in the Australian Open? It's only about day 3, isn't it, or something? I don't know. We'll find out from Aidan in just a couple of moments.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dixon weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace to Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Aidan's got the sport, 8:38, morning.
Good morning.
How are we getting on at the US Open?
Sorry, it's the Australian Open, actually. Just a few time zones
Get the
apart.
hemisphere right.
Yes, exactly. Well, look, the heat is a problem, and the Brits certainly cannot stand the heat. No singles interest remaining in the tournament. Cam Norrie losing yesterday to Alex Zverev in the round of 32. Now, you would say that's a very unkind draw to have that early in the tournament, but Emma Raducanu also lost in straight sets. She's been blaming her coach, effectively, Francisco Roy. That's a fair representation.
Well, she's already fired him, hasn't she?
No, she hasn't fired him, but she's criticising him. Because she doesn't believe that he's made the right improvements in his game. Maybe the game that he's trying to get to play, she isn't really able to do. But let's hope that can be ironed out. Jack Draper, of course, we know, didn't compete in the tournament because he had an arm injury. But the big story overnight, really, or this morning, was Yannick Sinner having to get through a breakthrough, or saying he got lucky getting through the heat break that he was entitled to take because the heat stress scale, HSS, hit 5. Let's hear what Yannick Sinner had to say after his win in Melbourne Park.
Yeah, I mean, it was hot today. Started to cramp a little bit in the third set, which then after, by time it went slowly away. I know my body slightly better now with a bit of experience also, you know, trying to handle certain situations a bit better. And yeah, it's... got lucky today at the point where when they closed the roof. It takes a little bit time.
So Yannick Sinner into the round of the last 16.
You said it had reached number 5 on the Richter scale, as it were, for heat. That's 40 degrees in the court, on court.
Yes.
And that is very, very hot to be running.
Yeah, I mean, he looked out on his feet in the beginning of the third set when he was really struggling. He was trailing a break with 3 games to 1, and his opponent Elliot Spizzeri. I don't know whether his body language on the other side of the court was, maybe endemic of the fact that he knew what was coming. He knew that he'd be refreshed, or the fact that he suspected some foul play. But either way, it was his worst expectation came true or came to pass because Sinner re-emerged as a completely different player and rattled off 2 more sets to win by 3 sets to 1. As I say, he'll be very dangerous going into the last 16. Djokovic is in action today as well.
Now, that will be very interesting.
Yes,
it will. I'm still rooting for him to make it to the final.
But just on the heat as well, the ball kids have been told to rest their hands on their feet instead of the surface because it's so hot. There's no play on the outside courts anywhere today. We're only halfway through the tournament, and we should be seeing
aircon.
What, on the outside courts?
No, on the inside courts.
Oh, inside courts, yeah, but on the outside courts, that's not possible.
Yeah, but
so
we're not playing on them.
No, they are playing on. No, that's the reason they're not playing on them, because it's too hot.
Yeah. So just put aircon, just get everyone to play on the inside courts.
There's too many games, too many matches. Stay out of this one.
Brutal. It's hot. It just gets...
I don't even know what country it's in.
It's just...
I don't want to try and have a conversation about tennis.
Djokovic has complained about the heat before.
Yes, he has.
In the
Well, he won a
Australian
final,
Open.
actually, in 2012 in 40-degree heat, and that was nearly 6 hours against Nadal. You wouldn't want to be facing him in extreme heat, would you?
Exactly. And I was just thinking, as it goes on later in the evening, it will get cooler, but not much, because the Australian day in January goes on till 10,
what's your next
10:30
suggestion,
at
Steve?
night.
Maybe the players bring a fan out and just to fan themselves down.
Off, Aidan. Should we have a look at the football?
Yeah, why not? Look, Andy Robertson, a massive competitor for Liverpool at left-back in the last 9 years or so. He looks as if he could be off to Tottenham. They want some experienced players in the defence. And look, 4 starts in the Premier League this season. He wants to be fit for the World Cup. Playing for Scotland, of course, big event for them because they've not been at the final since 1998. But what value he's been. £8 million in 2017 from Hull City in the Championship. Another success story from the Championship, making it in the Premier League. And unfortunately for him, Milos Kerkez has come in from Bournemouth, and he's struggled to find his feet, but nonetheless it looks like his days are numbered. And they're going to bring back Tsimikas from their loan as well, so we'll see what's going on. This Alistair in my ear is very helpful. He knows his Liverpool stuff, doesn't he?
Does he?
Yeah.
Oh.
But anyway, on to Jack Grealish. I'm meant to be doing this.
Yeah, all right, just quickly.
Yeah, he's having foot surgery. Looks as if he'll be out for the rest of the season. Could miss the World Cup.
Yeah. All right, lovely. Aidan, thank you. Might see you in the next hour, might not. I've decided.
Do stay with us.
Yeah, we're going to be talking ChatGPT.
Thank you. I've got this really persistent cough thing. It's really annoying. We're going to be talking about ChatGPT.
ChatGPT with Suzanne and Steve in the papers. First, here's the European forecast.
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean all clear skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, are you heading away this weekend? Storm Ingrid is bringing some very unsettled weather to Portugal and Spain. It's pretty wet and windy elsewhere too. The Canary Islands, though, still seeing plenty of dry weather, not especially warm, however. Very wet weather into Spain and Portugal, and some unsettled weather, thunderstorms across parts of Italy as well as the Balkans. It does look drier, though, towards Greece for the weekend. That wet weather will push eastwards later, though. Bye-bye.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Bold. They are under no illusion.
Ray,
Are you a human trafficker?
boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it?
no,
Because the
because
failure is...
You're
the failure is...
deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, this chap made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Right, we went through the papers at 8:47 with Steve N. Allen and Suzanne Evans. Should we start with ChatGPT? Just because we mentioned it before. I don't understand all of this, Steve. Call me a Luddite, but it's all a bit beyond me.
Right, well, it's this fancy newfangled AI.
Oh, newfangled.
The problem is, ChatGPT, new version comes out, and they tested it to see, where it would get its information. And it's also true of Claude, which is another chat model that they, this large language model they've got. They both cite Elon Musk's Grokpedia, which is an AI-generated version of Wikipedia. So what we've got is AI. Now, the story
AI using AI as a reference.
That's the problem. The story writes it up saying, this might lead to the spread of misinformation. The biggest problem is just the blur that we're going to get. If you've got AI citing AI, no longer is it training itself on we humans. So it's just going to get worse. There's a theory that we've reached peak AI because what are you going to train it on? The internet? Well, the internet's going to be more and more filled with AI slop, that they call it. This could be the end of days. Don't worry, they won't take our jobs.
I think they might. So in the early 19th century, we had dictionary wars when there was a row between whether Americans should have a post-revolutionary American identity language or they should keep with British English. So now, early 21st century, we've got encyclopedia wars. But this time it's the computers fighting each other.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'm beginning to sense it. I've been with one of my sons. He's been applying for various funding things and, scholarships or whatever. And we certainly got the impression after a while that not only was he using AI to just sort of bump up his language, but the response he was getting back from the university in question was also using clearly not human language.
Really?
And you said, hang on a minute, this is ridiculous. You've got AI applying to funding from another AI thing, and when will you ever get... where does the human come in?
It is madness. We're being made redundant.
Well, yeah.
Can AI do comedy, Steve?
No. Well, I say no. I've spent some time, both Gemini and ChatGPT, giving it examples of my work, and just to see if it could write things like I write, like newspaper columns, things I write. And when it started, it couldn't. And I sat there, go, look at it, it's rubbish. Oh, I'd never do rubbish like this. Now, the recent ones I've tested it on, it's coming up with angles and little jokes. I think, I see, it's getting close to what I do. So give it another year, it'll definitely be able to do the same. So don't tell anyone that.
No, we haven't told us all. No. But it can do that. It's becoming very clever. But as you said, the danger is that the response is if it's only going for reference material from other AI, then you just build up a completely false world.
Yeah. AI hallucination's the problem. They then get baked into the system. They won't know that it's a previous AI's hallucination. So we should say smarter, and AI might get stupider again.
Yeah.
Reach the peak.
You know that
just worry me a bit,
The Brooklyn Beckham statement, the very long one.
Yes.
Didn't you get the sense that he might have AI'd that?
Oh.
Because it didn't sound like him. It didn't sound like an authentic human being person.
OK.
That's interesting. I didn't get that feeling.
Oh, I did.
But maybe I didn't think about it. Who knows? Maybe he had some help with it. But I just think it was a terribly sad statement, and I actually feel sorry for his parents. I think Steve and I are on camp parent, really, aren't we?
Yeah, well, I mean,
Yes,
I'm also I'm on team slightly laugh when people that rich and famous have a bad time. It's basically the Jeremy Kyle show, but with more money, isn't it?
That's a very
It's certainly sounding like that, isn't it? Which is awful.
But we are heading to a point, I think, where... any statement, people look at it and go, "Ooh, has this been AI'd?" It's like any time anyone loses weight, you sort of go, "Are you on the jab?" It's just become the normal sort of assumption now, hasn't it?
Yeah, but there's some of those government statements we read out, the right of reply statements that come from the Home Office, and I can't help thinking they've been AI'd.
Wouldn't
It
surprise
sounds
me.
much more AI than human being.
Can we have a look, Suzanne, at the Times? Police will hire outsiders to keep up with crooks. What?
Yeah, so this is a little bit weird. So there's a kind of rule at the moment that if you're in the police force, if you want to go up the ranks, you have to recruit from within the ranks to become an inspector.
Yeah.
And basically, Shabina Mahmood, the Home Secretary, is due on Monday to unveil a whole series of reforms which include scrapping that rule. So basically, you can have a professional life outside the police force and then come in and do the job of inspector. Of course, the unions are up in arms about this,
crazy.
and they don't like it at all.
But that's crazy because
You
it's
might
all
think
about.
that.
Isn't it about learning walking the beat, learning the skills of the job? I wouldn't want to. I might like to be a police inspector, but I don't think I'd do the job as well as someone who'd come up the ranks.
Exactly. I think they're comparing it to what we have with politics. Some people have been in politics all their life. They're out of university, straight into politics. They don't have real life
Never done a real job.
But in that job, you get the job of a minister, and then you've got the civil service to do the actual work for you.
Yeah.
You don't have that in the police. In the police, you actually want someone who's done a little bit of working their way up the ladder to know how it works, so then you can make it work better. So I agree.
Very quickly, we ought to move on to what other things that Shabina Mahmood has been able to do because of the West Midlands police
Yes, we were talking about AI hallucinations earlier. Obviously, it caused the scalp of Craig Guilford, the West Midlands Chief Constable. So she's also looking to have the power to sack Chief Constables, so giving politicians the power to get rid of him, so we don't have this situation again where guided bad things, got into trouble, took early retirement. I mean, personally, I think, scrapping that... the Tories scrapped the right for the Home Secretary to sack Chief Constables in 2011 when they brought in the police and crime commissioners. I think that's one of the biggest mistakes they ever made. It was a complete disaster. It hasn't worked out well. So it's just part of one of a huge amount of reforms.
Isn't there a danger with this that it is going to politicise the police service? I mean, I don't mean her power to get rid of people, but the fact that actually there's much more overarching power.
I totally hear what you're saying, Stephen. But on the other hand, what we have at the moment is a situation where police chiefs are accountable to nobody. And they've got to be accountable to somebody. And if it can't be our democratically elected government, then I don't see what it can be.
And it should be the Home Secretary. Surely it falls within her remit already.
Yes.
If it was just about the ability to sack, I'd say fine. I think it's everything else that comes with it which worries me slightly.
Potentially. Proof of the pudding's in the eating. We shall see if these reforms go through.
Right. Lovely, you two. Thank you very much indeed. We'll see you later.
Okay.
Right, now it's time for the weather.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning, welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. Some sunshine on the cards for some of us through today, but there will be further heavy rain across southwestern areas as well as in the northeastern area of low pressure down in the southwest. Continues to bring pretty strong winds to southwestern areas. Heavy rain and hill snow still continuing across the north and east. But between those two areas, a slice of sunshine, particularly across southeastern areas of England, actually. Plenty of dry weather, still a fairly brisk breeze. It's not going to be especially mild out there at all, but certainly better than it has been recently for some of us. Some weather to get outside in, at least this Saturday. Into this evening, the wet weather, the windy weather continues across the southwest, and the rain continues to fall across northeastern areas of Scotland. We've still got a yellow rain warning in force, actually, for parts of Scotland in the north and east. Here we could see some impacts from the rain. It's been raining for a couple of days now, actually. Some wet weather spreading into parts of Northern Ireland, remaining dry though across much of northern England and across the southeast. Should be a fairly clear evening here. A different story though in the southwest. As you can see, heavy bands of rain and brisk southwesterly winds. They will move northwards through the night, taking the rain with it. Some dry weather now and again across the southwest, but plenty more rain to come into Sunday. And across the east, actually, it does turn much drier, but it will be a cloudy start to the day on Sunday. Lots of cloud and rain around. Another mild night for the time of year. And quite a cold feel actually through Sunday across many northern and eastern areas. We've got quite a brisk easterly wind here, and elsewhere lots of cloud and rain. There will be some slices of dry weather here and there. It's not going to rain all day for everyone, and the rain's not going to be that heavy on Sunday actually, so you should still be able to get out if you are wanting to. Temperatures quite close to average, a little below where we've got that easterly wind on the east. See you again soon.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's the final week to see how you can become our biggest cash prize winner to date, as there's a simply stunning £85,000 in tax-free cash to be won. Go on that dream holiday, buy that brand new car, or just relax in the knowledge that the rest of the year could be on us. But you have to hurry, as lines close on Friday the 30th of January. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11, only on GB News.
This is Turner at the age of 17. This is a really special work. I'm delighted that this could be in the exhibition because it's a new discovery. This is Turner's first exhibited oil painting. This was a real milestone in any artist's career. Anyone who wanted to become a painter and a professional painter, a Royal Academician, had to be able to demonstrate that they could paint in oils. It was the most exalted, it was the highest medium for a painter to use. This had been out of view for 150 years. Its discovery a couple of years ago was so exciting, and here it is. And it shows Turner at the age of 17 really laying down some of those hallmarks that would become, the things that we know and love about Turner later on.
It's a magnificent piece. We better go and see an early constable.
Yes.
Amy, the young constable, but as we know, constable makes a slower start than Turner.
Yes, Constable does indeed make a slower start than Turner, but he also makes a self-conscious decision to be different to other landscape artists. Spending so much time in the countryside, in the landscape that he was brought up in, he really wanted to capture the landscape with as much veracity, as much truth, and as much freshness as possible. And so he began a quest of making very small oil sketches, like the one behind me. And in these oil sketches, he used oil paints outdoors, on his knee, responding to the changing clouds, the changing light conditions, and learning to paint quickly and, with as much liveliness as possible. When it came to making a bigger landscape painting for exhibition, he wanted to transport those qualities into those big landscape paintings.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Good morning. Britain backs its veterans after President Trump's slur on NATO troops.
Consider President Trump's remarks to be insulting and frankly appalling.
Now, Prince Harry has weighed in as well, reminding the White House of the lives sacrificed by British and Allied forces alongside the United States.
Well, that's as the US president says NATO soldiers stayed a little back off the front lines during 2 decades of fighting against the Taliban.
Meanwhile, Sir Keir Starmer is forced into another humiliating retreat, possibly, after pulling his Chagos Islands bill amid mounting US opposition, as President Trump brands the plans an act of great stupidity.
Labour's High Command piling the pressure on Andy Burnham. He's got till 5 o'clock tonight to decide whether to stage, or at least try to stage, a dramatic return to Westminster.
They're not in the real world, really. Small villages, even towns, cities like that. What would you do without a pub? Where would we go?
Right across the country are still waiting to find out the details of a government so-called support package. Many of them are facing permanent closure.
Jannik Sinner admits he got lucky when a heat break intervened to save his bid to defend his Australian Open title. Novak Djokovic is in action right now. We'll be looking ahead to a busy weekend of the Premier League too.
Good morning. Some sunshine for many central areas. Rain sandwiching that sunshine, though, for the northeast and southwest. I'll have all the details a little later on.
It's just gone 9 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
And I'm Ann Diamond, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Oh, just because we mentioned West Midlands Police, loads of you getting in touch on West Midlands Police. I mean, there's so much frustration. And do you know what I feel sorry for is the officers. You know, your rank and file, who actually, you know, they're doing their job, they have to do what they're told. But they're the ones, as Peter Blacks, the officers, they're the ones who run towards danger. And they get tarnished by all of this, by misbehaviour at the top. And I think that's really, really unfair. I know you get a couple of bad apples in the rank and file, but it's actually few and far between.
Which is why he has got to be held to account, even though he has been apparently allowed to just retire. I think there are still ways they are looking at... Well, they are looking into ways of possibly taking it further against him, aren't they? But, I mean, he should certainly be held to account.
Yes, yeah, I'm sure. Well, I agree. I'm sure a lot of you agree on that one.
Tell you what, as well, I'm very annoyed about potholes.
Oh, yes.
Well, I know potholes are generally annoying and they're always news, aren't they? And it's very always bad at this time of year because... But just after this very recent bout of real hard ice and snow, they've got so bad that it almost feels dangerous driving along the motorway even. When you see there's a huge crack in the road or a great pothole ahead of you, what are you meant to do?
Nothing you can do.
No.
You can't swerve, can you?
No, you can't swerve, particularly on a motorway, but you can't swerve on most roads. And so you just got to take it. So you slow down and just hope it's not as deep as it looks.
But this is why Mr. Pothole, whose real name I can't remember now, but when he comes on, he says 17 billion quid is what it's going to cost to sort it out, because it's not just about filling the potholes. There's a load of our roads that need completely resurfacing, because as soon as you get a bit of ice and snow or whatever, it's cracking. So we need a major deal to get it sorted out. We're just not spending enough money on it.
No.
But then we haven't got the money at the moment, have we?
No.
The economy's going down the pan, it would seem, at the moment. Anyway.
It's like a very basic infrastructure of certain things that we're just not spending enough money on. But maybe we ain't got it, except to give away to Mauritius. Well,
maybe not that. Well, maybe they can spend that 39 billion.
Well, it would be useful, wouldn't it?
Certainly,
I can think of other ways to spend it.
Anyway, but something else which, well, some people are saying could be going down the pan. Probably not, really, but maybe it's taken a bit of a dent, and that's our special relationship with the United States.
Yes. Keir Starmer has now come out and publicly criticised President Trump's claims that NATO troops weren't exactly front line in Afghanistan. He said his remarks were insulting and, frankly, appalling.
Let me start by paying tribute to the 457 of our armed services who lost their lives in Afghanistan. I will never forget their courage, their bravery, and the sacrifice that they made for their country. There are many also who were injured, some with life-changing injuries. And so I consider President Trump's remarks to be insulting and frankly appalling. And I'm not surprised they've caused such hurt to the loved ones of those who were killed or injured.
Well, I have to say, the Prime Minister seems prime ministerial there. He seemed angry.
It must have been very difficult for him because he values his special relationship with President Trump so much, but he had to be outspoken, didn't he?
Well, he's got to value our troops more. Surely. But I mean, it was a good. It's one statement out of 1,000 he's given, but it was a good performance.
It was strong, yes. Overnight, however, a White House spokesperson told GB News this: President Trump is absolutely right. The United States of America has done more for NATO than any other country in the alliance has done combined.
Well, Prince Harry has weighed in on this. It's an area he knows a lot about, and actually, when he talks from the heart on something like this, it's strong, actually. He said, I served there, I made lifelong friends there, and I lost friends there. The United Kingdom alone had 457 service personnel killed. Thousands of lives were changed forever. Mothers and fathers buried sons and daughters.
Earlier, we spoke to one of the veterans from Afghanistan, Andrew Fox. He completed 3 tours there.
Well, really, a sort of head-shaking anger and mild degree of outrage. Mr. Trump would say something so obtuse. But But, you know, in terms of the way my opinion has developed, what I'd really like to say is certainly to everyone watching this who spoke out online and who spoke up for our veterans and our service personnel, it's very much appreciated, because Afghanistan does feel a bit like a forgotten war sometimes. And to know that people remember it and hold us in high acclaim as the people who fought there is really one of the good things to come out of this.
Yeah, again, I thought he was a very strong speaker, Andrew Fox. Let's talk to former British military advisor to the United States, Major General Chip Chapman, who's here in the studio. What is your assessment of this, Chip? I mean, I know we can sort of say, well, what do we expect from President Trump? He's a bit sort of loose-lipped, shoots from the hip and all the rest of it. But nevertheless, it's the pain it causes people here.
Well, the first thing is that in The Art of the Deal, his book, he talks about truthful hyperbole, and that's what his language is like, and that's what the doubling down from the White House is all about. He mentioned NATO in the round, and none of us want to be in the out-group, so I think there will be a bridge from the UK to the US, and we can still play that role, a junior partner to a senior partner, in the words of Churchill. But this is really disappointing, of course, for all those who lost sons and daughters in Afghanistan, and it demeans the contribution of everyone else. Of course, America, because of its financial might, its military might, its economic might, was the predominant power in Afghanistan, but that does demean the contribution of allies who shed blood alongside the Americans, and that's just really disappointing.
And there's never been any talk, has there, that the NATO forces held back a little from the front line?
No, and of course there was no such thing as a front line. It was an insurgency.
It's not just insulting, it's untrue.
So, you know, you could be attacked anywhere. So there was not a front line, there was not a rear area. Everything was amenable to being attacked. So the notion that certainly the Brits were not in the front line and shedding blood is just not proven, along with all those other nations. I mean, I served in Canada for 2 years when in the 90s they were sort of a peacekeeping force. They went back to a warrior ethos and fought hard and lost 160 people in Afghanistan. That should also be taken into account by President Trump, as all the other nations who shed blood, including the Danish. You know, 34 killed in action from the Danish alongside the Brits down in Helmand.
Whether people at home agree with the Prime Minister or not on general matters, it was a strong performance from him. I mean, sort of being critical of what the President said. It does beg the question, does it damage the special relationship, or is that bigger than all of this?
No, it is bigger than all this. You know, they are the indispensable nation. You might not trust us, you might not like us, but you need us because of those three things I mentioned about their economic power, their military power, and the fact that they are the true hegemon in the world. They're the only one at the moment. We may be moving to a multipolar world, but until America cedes its hegemony in the world, we aren't at that position yet.
I mean, a lot of people who are slightly defending Trump say he didn't mean it sort of personally. He was swiping at NATO. Because and ever since he took office, especially this time, he's been trying to remind NATO members all along, you're not paying your way enough. You cannot rely on America to save you all the time. Do you not think maybe that's true? He is just meaning it as a political point against NATO. Well, does that threaten NATO?
Well, there's two parts to that. The first one is that when he was coming into office in Trump 1.0, he characterised NATO and the EU as ungrateful freeloaders. We had the 75th anniversary of NATO last year in Washington. That's when we went to 5% by 2035. So he achieved the objective of trying to get more contribution from the European part of NATO. That is a good thing. Would he like to see the US disconnect from NATO? We hope not, because if you lose trust in that part of Article 5 and all for one and one for all, then that means we're in a more dangerous world than we were last week.
Actually, and it was the first and only time, actually, Article 5 has ever been triggered.
In terms of Afghanistan post 9/11, it was. We all came to the collective aid of America. And again, you know, the numbers may not have been the same as the Americans put into Afghanistan, but they were all there. And indeed, nations which weren't part of NATO. Australia was there, New Zealand was there, even Iceland was there.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's upset a lot of people with all of this. But the general premise that we need to do more in terms of our defence spending, in terms of our recruitment, our sort of NATO commitment as well, I mean, that holds very true, doesn't it? I mean, we have let things... We've fallen foul of a peacetime dividend, haven't we?
No, we have. We got complacent since the end of the Cold War. And one of the lessons that will come out of this for the European part of NATO, including Canada in that, is that we need more probably strategic autonomy from America if they're not going to come to our aid. And one of the implications of that was from their national security strategy when it's the Western Hemisphere, which is where they're going to have their focus in the future, not Europe, which is a very low priority after the Middle East and the Pacific.
We need to learn that lesson, but will we?
Well, that's a function of political will.
That's putting
and
money
only
where mouth
political
is,
will,
isn't it?
And the same in Europe. You know, we don't lack the resources. Sometimes we lack the political will.
All right, Chip, thank you very much indeed. It's always good to see you. There's a Chagos deal to talk about, which we're going to with US political commentator Jennifer Ewing in a moment, but I don't think it's right to have a political, an American voice on without asking you about this, because this will not be playing as big in the States as it is over here. Is there a defence, a reasonable defence Trump can use? Saying, well, I was talking in general terms. Will he have realised that the hurt he's caused people here?
Once it's pointed out to him, probably, and, for the record, obviously what he said was not only, as the Prime Minister said, appalling, it was hurtful and it was untrue. As Chip just pointed out, obviously, 457 British troops died along with the Americans. So putting that aside, I think he was on this post-Davos sort of very anti-NATO, very tough love, very, hey, you know what? We're not enemies of Europe and the UK. We love you guys. You're our best ally, and we need you to love yourself. As much as America First is about, looking after America first for Americans, I think that the president would like Britain to look after Britain first, would like France to look after France first. Each country, and that's why you will see a lot of these populist leaders in Western Europe are gaining ground, right, including in this country. So I think there's an attitude, in the United States where a lot of us on the sort of center-right libertarian populist side that each country around the world would be better if they put themselves and indeed their voters, their population first. What's that saying? Like, put your own oxygen mask on first before you help others. So again, no excuse for what he said. He hurt a lot of people. It's unfactual. I think what you're going to see, moving on to Chagos, is you're going to start to see, rather than a formal apology, which your colleague Ben Leo out of Washington tried to get out of the White House, I think what you're going to see is a lot of talk about how important the UK and the US, Diego Garcia, maintain, getting rid of this Chagos handover back to Mauritius. I think that's what you'll see instead.
So we may see action rather than apology.
Exactly, and that's
sort of Trumpian, isn't it?
That's Trumpian. There's sort of how the sausage is made, and then there's the which nobody likes to see. Like, oh, but he said this. Oh, but his tone. Oh, but people are sort of having some fun over the last 24 hours with this post he did, walking along with penguins. And the implication is he's talking about, I guess, Greenland, and people are rightfully saying, hey, there are no penguins in Greenland. Are we taking over, the South Pole as well? So oftentimes not great on the details, but I guarantee you, once it was pointed out to him that the United Kingdom was not going along with that Chagos deal because the UK needed the money, as the president thought, but rather we were paying for that, he will be like, are you kidding me? I think also there was some back-channeling going on with our Secretary Scott Bessent and, whether it was Nigel Farage or some other people in the UK that will have helped the president understand Chagos better.
But it's whether he can actually, because of this, as the Tories keep going on about now, this 1966 treaty between the UK and the US, whether then Trump can actually, in effect, legally say, no, you can't do it.
So, again, not a legal expert, but I think one, has it expired? And two, does Trump have veto power? I think there was no way this was allowed to go on unless both the UK and the US were on board with it. If now the US is like, hold on, whether he didn't understand it properly, wasn't paying attention, I don't know. But now it has his attention, and there is no way, because we know one of the most important things to the president right now is keeping China at bay, which is, of course, you know, what's stopping this? Well, he thinks too.
Yeah, you were looking to me for. I was going to say, and what about the Chinese embassy proposal, the planning proposal, which is it's actually going through by the sound of it, just round the corner from the Tower of London. Over important. I mean, people, ordinary, everyday people in the street cannot understand why we're allowing it, and. Also, apparently, once it was spelt out to President Trump, he can't believe it either.
Well, yeah, and I think there's a long list of things he has to pay attention to. And once that gets on his radar, an aide puts it in front of him, you can expect to hear a lot more about that. And I hope he doesn't, you know, I hope his response isn't the stupid Brits, you know, because we do care about, you know, our special relationship. It is important. But yeah, once that becomes clear to him, I'm sure he'll have some strong words. Let's not forget that the whole reason he wanted an end to Ukraine-Russia situation is you do not want to drive Russia and China closer together.
I'm just going to bring Chip back in on this, because I bet you've got a view on this Chinese embassy. Because, I mean, I heard someone say last week, well, part of the benefit of the Chinese embassy is that actually it's forcing the Chinese to pull in several hundred properties or whatever that they had around London into one base so we can keep a close eye on them and all. But none of this is being... If there is a good reason for doing this, we're not properly being told it.
Well, the thing I would say is that MI5 and MI6, who I trust and have worked with, have said that it is the best way to mitigate or mitigation's already in place if the Chinese embassy is centralised in one place. Trust the experts on this, along with GCHQ. That is separate than the sort of populist take on Chinese embassy in a part of London near the Tower of London.
So they basically think it's a good idea?
Not saying they think it's a good idea. I'm saying that the risk can be mitigated, and all of life is really about risk mitigation.
Yeah, well, look, sometimes you've got to listen to the experts. Chip's the sort of expert I like to listen to. But really good to see you both this morning.
Yeah.
Thank you very much indeed.
My goodness. OK, well, let's get to the weather now. Maybe that'll be more cheerful or not.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning, welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. Some sunshine on the cards for some of us through today, but there will be further heavy rain across southwestern areas as well as in the northeastern area of low pressure down in the southwest. Continues to bring pretty strong winds to southwestern areas. Heavy rain and hill snow still continuing across the north and east. But between those two areas, a slice of sunshine, particularly across southeastern areas of England actually. Plenty of dry weather, still a fairly brisk breeze. It's not going to be especially mild out there at all, but certainly better than it has been recently for some of us. Some weather to get outside in at least this Saturday. Into this evening, the wet weather, the windy weather continues across the southwest, and the rain continues to fall across northeastern areas of Scotland. We've still got a yellow rain warning in force actually for parts of Scotland in the north and east. Here we could see some impacts from the rain. It's been raining for a couple of days now actually. Some wet weather spreading into parts of Northern Ireland, remaining dry though across much of northern England and across the southeast. Should be a fairly clear evening here. A different story though in the southwest. As you can see, heavy bands of rain and brisk southwesterly winds. They will move northwards through the night, taking the rain with it. Some dry weather now and again across the southwest, but plenty more rain to come into Sunday. And across the east actually it does turn much drier, but it will be a cloudy start to the day on Sunday. Lots of cloud and rain around. Another mild night for the time of year. And quite a cold feel actually through Sunday across many northern and eastern areas. We've got quite a brisk easterly wind here, and elsewhere lots of cloud and rain. There will be some slices of dry weather here and there. It's not going to rain all day for everyone, and the rain's not going to be that heavy on Sunday actually, so you should still be able to get out if you are wanting to. Temperatures quite close to average, a little below where we've got that easterly wind on the east. See you again soon.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Right, it's 9:21, still to come. Sir Keir Starmer's former deputy, Angela Rayner, says Andy Burnham should not be blocked from a potential return to the Commons. Why? How? Well, we'll talk about that in a couple of moments.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to stop. You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Now, the Prime Minister is under pressure on all sides, certainly both sides of the Atlantic. His former deputy, Angela Rayner, remember her, says Andy Burnham should not be blocked from a potential return to the Commons.
Rayner has backed the Manchester Mayor, or Mayor of Greater Manchester, we should say, to stand in the Gorton and Denton by-election and is expected to make her support public at Labour's North West Regional Conference today.
Now, it's a significant setback for Sir Keir Starmer because if he got a Commons seat, Andy Burnham would then have a platform to mount a future leadership challenge.
Our political correspondent is Olivia Utley. It's a very big gamble, though, for Andy Burnham. There's no guarantee he'd win the seat. There's no guarantee he'd win a leadership election if he started the whole process off. Would he risk it?
Well, I think it's a really interesting question. I mean, on the one hand, he is very politically ambitious. You know, people say he's changed his political colours so many times over the years for whatever way the wind's blowing. He's been a Blairite, he's been a Milibandite, he's been Starmerite, and now it looks like he's going to be a bit of a Burnhamite. He definitely would like to be Prime Minister. But, as you say, there's quite a lot of risks. He likes being Mayor of Manchester. He's really popular in Manchester. He's won 3 times over. And it's quite a cushy job compared to being...
It must be lovely being King of the North.
Being King of the North.
He actually calls that himself, doesn't he?
Does he? I didn't know that.
No, they say self-styled King of the North.
No,
is that true?
Not.
But, I mean,
That's
certainly
hilarious
he's becoming
if that's
more
true.
and more known in the media as the King of the North. Must be very nice and comfortable.
Well, it's a lovely job. So would he take the risk? I mean... there's a chance, of course, that Keir Starmer will block him, which a few days ago looked like it was almost inevitable. Now that seems less likely because you've got people like Angela Rayner and Joe White, who's a 2024 elected MP, who's chair of the Red Wall group. That's a really influential group of Labour MPs. We know how important that Red Wall is to the electoral maths in this country. She's also said that he mustn't be blocked. And you've actually got a growing number of MPs, both publicly and behind the scenes, telling Starmer that it just isn't a good look, both for the Labour Party, but also for Starmer himself. It does make him look a bit weak and desperate if he's blocking any...
Would he not be seen as being strong in saying, no, I'm not going to...
Yeah, why should I give a chance to a man who desperately wants my job?
Well, you could argue that. I think the problem is that because Andy Burnham is so popular and, of course, because Labour isn't a slam dunk to win this seat. Yes, Andrew Gwynn won with a majority of over 13,000 in 2024. In normal times, we would probably call that a pretty safe seat. But, of course, these aren't normal times. Reform is on the march. Reform is now doing so well nationally, and also polling in that seat suggests that Reform might well win it. It will be very, very, very close run thing in a by-election. I think there are quite a lot of people in Labour who say, well, we need to win that seat. It would look terrible if we didn't win that seat. Andy Burnham stands a much better chance than anyone else of winning the seat. So it would be selfish of Keir Starmer to block him from running in case he mounts a leadership challenge and, in effect, prevent Labour from winning a really, really important by-election. Personally, I think Andy Burnham probably is going to announce that he's standing. I don't think that Angela Rayner would be bothering to go out and to make public her support for the Mayor of Manchester if she didn't have pretty good reason to believe that he was planning to stand. What will that do to Keir Starmer? I mean, in a way, it's sort of just what we've been waiting for a long time now.
It's the starting gun, isn't it?
It's the starting gun. It feels as though Andy Burnham is a bit of a stalking horse. Who else is going to come out of the woodwork? Could this actually bring to a head the tensions between Wes Streeting and Keir Starmer?
Well, that's what I was going to ask next, is what's Wes Streeting thinking as he reads these headlines at the moment?
Well, exactly. I mean, if Andy Burnham does put himself forward for that seat, then I think that is, as you say, the starting gun in a leadership race. And we've already seen Wes Streeting making all sorts of comments which aren't particularly conducive to collective responsibility. He's basically been going out on air and saying policies which don't particularly chime in with what the government has to say. He was the one who said that we should be looking at a social media ban for under 16s. That wasn't government policy. That's pretty extraordinary. Wes Streeting is a man on manoeuvres, and I think he's going to start playing his cards a little bit further from his chest if Andy Burnham does indeed stand for this seat. Who else could we see come out of the woodwork too? Labour MPs are getting desperate. Plenty of them only won their seats at the last election. They are hearing on the doorsteps every day that people do not like the Labour Party at all. They're desperate for any kind of change, and they know that these local elections are now just around the corner.
I know politicians are a different breed. You know, they don't operate, they don't think like the rest of us, ordinary humans, do they? But why would anyone be so desperate to take, to be the captain of a sinking ship?
I mean, I ask myself this question all the time, Stephen. I just always think, why would Rishi Sunak want to be Prime Minister? Why would Keir Starmer want to be Prime Minister? But I think the answer is they are just a different breed. They, for whatever reason, perhaps very good reasons, perhaps they really want to see the country modelled in a better image, or because they like the power. But I think even now, people like Andy Burnham or Wes Streeting, maybe they just think they could genuinely do a much better job. Maybe they think that what's missing is that sort of charisma, that touch with the ordinary people, which I think we can probably agree that Keir Starmer doesn't perhaps naturally have. Andy Burnham and Wes Streeting, whatever you think of them, they do have a lot more of that charisma, and maybe they think that's all that Labour needs to push it through these local elections and through into the next few years towards the general election. Let's see what happens. I'm fascinated to see whether...
But you think at 5 o'clock we're going to hear that Andy Burnham is running?
I always get scared of making predictions in case I look silly. I think we probably will.
I wonder
it's such a good opportunity for him. If you wanted to be Prime Minister and this opportunity presents itself on a plate to you, how could you turn it down?
In which case, Keir Starmer must be sitting in number 10 thinking, I hope Reform UK got that seat.
He probably is. That's a good, funny old business politics.
It really is.
All right, Olivia, thank you very much indeed. Yeah, that'd be funny, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, campaigning for Nigel.
Yeah. That would be fascinating. Knocking on the doors up there in Manchester. I wonder what sort of response.
9:32. Let's have a look at the Great British Giveaway. You've got less than a week now to see if you could be our biggest cash winner to date. It's £85,000. It's tax-free cash. Here's how you enter.
It's the final week to see how you could become our biggest cash prize winner to date, as there's a simply stunning £85,000 in tax-free cash to be won. Go on that dream holiday, buy that brand new car, or just relax in the knowledge that the rest of the year could be on us. But you have to hurry, as lines close on Friday the 30th of January. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Do stay with us at 9:33. Still to come, cash-strapped schools and councils are being forced to sell off land as financial pressures mount. Didn't they do that in the 60s? And wasn't it a terrible idea? And in the 80s,
Schools, playing fields.
That's why so many schools don't have any land. But apparently it's all happening again. We'll be discussing that next.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Martin Daubney, weekdays from 3 p.m.
Yes, thanks for having me very much. Yeah, they are struggling at the moment quite a lot. I mean, of course, we hear about taxes and the way that rates are changing, but actually pubs, over the last 2 years, whilst I've been going across the country, have been telling me over and over again, it gets harder and harder just to exist.
And you've got social media accounts, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people watch your amazing videos where you go into a boozer, you tell its story, you talk to locals, you get right to the heart and soul, because pubs aren't just about pounds and pence. They're about communities. They're about the mortar that holds together the bricks of Britain.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, who would have thought when I started doing this 2 years ago that I would be here now with almost 500,000 followers? It is a crazy experience. Of course, you know, this for me started as a hobby. You know, and I'm going to give away my age now. As 20 years ago, as a group of 20-somethings, we would be going into London for our birthdays and get pretty bored of some of the soulless, expensive bars that would exist, and, you know, very aware of the fact that we're in one of the greatest cities in the world with 3,500 pubs, and between those pubs, some of the most iconic sites that you can see, all, you know, anywhere in the world, and tourists come from everywhere to see them. That was our excuse then to go out on a pub crawl.
And I've been through your top 10 pubs, Thomas Vosper. I've been to 4 out of 10 of them. I'm delighted to see that the old trip to Jerusalem and Nottingham, my home city, is there.
I think the beauty of a pub is that what makes it special is very personal to you.
Yes.
One of the questions I do get asked more than any other is, what's the best pub to go to? But of course, some of them are huge, grand banking halls, buildings that have been repurposed, some of those old little pubs where you've got a nice flat warm ale and a fire to sit next to.
GB News, the People's Channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
It's 9:36 and cash-strapped schools and councils are being forced to sell off land as financial pressures mount.
And a charity is warning that changing planning permissions for playing fields in particular will cause irreparable damage to communities.
Well, the government are keen to push forward planning permissions, claiming strong protections for playing fields already exist. I should say it's not new, this, actually. It's jumped up since 2020. And more than 1,200 disposals of school land since 2020. So it's not just cropped up in the last year. It's been going on for the last 5, and that's even more worrying, actually.
Yeah, but doesn't history teach us that it was never a good idea?
No.
Schools need land and playing fields. Otherwise, children have got nowhere to run around and play or learn sports or anything like that. I thought we'd learned that lesson, but joining us now is the Chief Executive of the London Playing Fields Foundation, Alex Welsh. Morning, Alex. Yeah, I mean, doesn't history teach us that this is a bad idea?
Absolutely, and I was a teacher in those days before I joined London Playing Fields Foundation. I go back to my own schools where I grew up in the northeast, and they're both housing estates. Then I go back to my old school I taught just outside of London. And when I was there were 2 football pitches, a rugby pitch, a cricket pitch, and a hockey pitch. Now there are 2 pitches. So it's not just the loss of school playing fields, it's the erosion. And I bet that many of your viewers go back to a school that they attended and they think, I'm sure this field had more pitches than this. And there are fewer, and it's this erosion. And that's why our mantra at London Playing Fields Foundation is no net loss of pitches, for the very reasons you just amplified. I mean, playing fields produce £2 billion worth of benefit and health and well-being. It's illogical to get rid of them. Totally.
I mean, we're constantly talking about the obesity crisis in this country. I mean, particularly amongst children, particularly now because of lockdown and all the rest of it, and they've got so used to sitting on their computers and doing everything, you know, staring at a screen. This is the exact solution to a problem which we keep talking about, and yet we're making it harder to deal with.
Absolutely. Without a pitch to play on, Stephen, there is no sport. It's just a computer game.
Yeah.
So we want the real pitches out there. And if you consider that in London, amongst Year 6 pupils, obesity and overweight affects 1 in 4 of them. If you think that knife crime is rife, if you think that physical inactivity will kill 1 in 6 of us, it's highly logical to get rid of those fields where people could live more healthy lives, where kids could join teams rather than gangs. What are we thinking about? It's a real short-term fix that these schools and councils are looking for. And I just want to ask them, how do they want to be remembered in 50, 100 years' time? I mean, we were formed our charity by these visionary Victorians in 1890 who saw this coming. And they were really worried about the loss of playing fields because they knew that playing fields could improve lives. Here we are, 136 years later, fighting the same battle. And it's been exacerbated by the fact that Sport England, who've done a brilliant job as a statutory consultee since 1996. You're right, Anne, in the 17 years before that, we lost 10,000 playing fields. But since then, Sport England have been this kind of backstop position, and in the last year have saved 1,038. So getting rid of them as a statutory consultee, it's a bit like sending off the goalie for saving too many shots. It's just they're doing such a brilliant job and they're being penalised for it. And the rest of the country will be penalised. That's why we have to resist it.
And you can never get it back. Once it's been built on, you know, you can never reclaim it. And we now have more and more schools, don't we, that are just isolated. Their buildings is all they are, with lots and lots of children in them. And if they do want to go and take part in any sport, they actually have to travel to other places where there is a pitch or something. But in the olden days, as it were, well, certainly when I was at school, the school, and it was an ordinary state school, the school was surrounded by, just as you said, I mean, there were whole playing areas where you could just run through fields. There were several different sorts of pitches. There were tennis courts, netball courts, and even a swimming pool we had at my school. And most schools probably don't have those sort of facilities to rely on anymore, do they?
Yeah, They don't, and you're right. These are more than expanses of open space. They're places where people's lives can be improved. And if you look at research produced by the CPRE recently, they found that there's sufficient brownfield space across the country to build 1.4 million homes. But we're looking at the playing fields because it's an easy fix. So when a council or a school sells a playing field, there are three benefits. One, a huge capital receipt, which can plug revenue deficits. Second, they can meet their housing targets. And third, they remove any kind of obligation to maintain them, because modernizing, managing, marketing, and maintaining playing fields are expensive. But it's worth doing because the benefits are manifold.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, you just sit there, Alex, talking common sense. And it's about time somebody listened.
Well, Stephen, in 6 months' time, people in Scotland, hopefully Wales, definitely England, will be watching the World Cup, dreaming of England, Scotland and Wales winning it. Every single one of those players will have in their heart a debt of gratitude for a playing field where it all began for them. And we say that there is a golden thread that goes from the playing field to the Premier League. Without playing fields, there would be no Premier League. And I'm just hoping that this summer, there's a golden thread that goes from the playing field to the podium, and one of the home countries is holding the cup aloft. Then people will be saying, thank God for playing fields.
Yeah.
Glad we kept them.
Let's hope so. Alex, thank you very much indeed. Good to talk to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's just common sense, isn't it?
It is, but I mean, when you need money, you need money, and it's like selling off the family silver, isn't it? You can never get it back. There has to be a cleverer way to get money than to sell off our playing fields.
You've got to look at the longer term with all this sort of thing.
Well, I mean, keeping the playing fields, even if they're expensive to maintain and everything, that's an investment in the next generation, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you always need to invest forward.
Yeah. Honestly, you do wonder what is going on sometimes. I mean, I know it happened in the 80s and a bit of the 90s to an extent, but because everyone moaned about it.
Yeah.
So why on earth do it again?
I thought we'd learned that lesson. I thought, because it was seen as a scandal.
It was.
Can't allow that to happen again, can we?
No. All right. Talking of all things sporty, though, Aidan's going to be here in a minute, looking at Naomi Osaka, who has withdrawn from the US Open.
She's the lady in the...
She's in the jellyfish outfit.
Jellyfish. She's withdrawn.
We don't know why.
We'll find
News
out
to us.
from Aidan in just a couple of moments.
First, so here's the European forecast.
You're looking happy.
Well, the forecast looks good.
So you've sorted the travel insurance then?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, are you heading away this weekend? Storm Ingrid is bringing some very unsettled weather to Portugal and Spain. It's pretty wet and windy elsewhere too. The Canary Islands, though, still seeing plenty of dry weather, not especially warm, however. Very wet weather into Spain and Portugal, and some unsettled weather, thunderstorms across parts of Italy as well as the Balkans. It does look drier, though, towards Greece for the weekend. That wet weather will push eastwards later, though. Bye-bye.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Bold. They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it?
no,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dixon weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Right, time for the sport. Aidan's got some breaking news.
Yeah, I'm really gutted, actually, because Naomi Osaka has pulled out of the Australian Open.
Why?
Well, she's citing injury. Let me just read the quote, or brief parts of the quote anyway. She said, "I've had to make the difficult decision to withdraw." This statement coming just in the last 15 minutes or so, to withdraw, to assess something my body needs attention for after my last match. I was so excited to keep this going, and this run meant the most to me. So having to stop here breaks my heart, but I can't risk doing further damage so I can get back on the court. Thank you for all your love and support. We're not going to see those outfits again.
No,
it's the outfits that we're worried about.
Yeah, but she had a very frosty relationship with her competitor.
Yes.
The last one, it was Sorana Cestella. It ended with them. They're supposed to walk towards each other and shake hands over the net, and they really didn't enjoy it. It was very frosty and nasty.
There was too much grunting, wasn't there?
There was there was a lot of that, and
lack of respect, wasn't it? It was excited as anyway.
Novak Djokovic's wife then posted on social media that she thought her behaviour had been disrespectful.
What's it got to do with that?
She was sitting there watching it, I suppose.
I should say as well, I mean, she was due to be on court. I mean, the statement was made 15, 20 minutes ago, but she was due to be on court at 10 o'clock if the schedule had gone to plan. So that was today, so it's a very late withdrawal. But she'll be missed because not only is she playing well, but those outfits
were quite
making
headlines and making life interesting.
Just drawing more eyes to tennis, and tennis is in a difficult spot at the moment. Novak Djokovic is comfortable at the moment. I don't have my phone with me, but I believe he's 2 sets up. Yes, he started it about an hour, just over an hour ago, but he's looking comfortable at the minute against his Dutch opponent.
Good. Glad to hear it. And then, of course, we've got the business of it being 40 degrees on the court.
Goodness me.
I wonder what the temperature's like there at the moment, then.
I'm not sure. I need to check, but it will probably be... And now it will have cooled off a little bit, because it'll be about 7 o'clock there, I think, in the evening. That's their prime... That has to be their prime time for playing now.
Yes.
Because you've got...
in the evenings.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why we're getting matches going on into the early hours of the morning. But I do think they've got challenges to look at in the months and years
As long
ahead.
as they know. I mean, the complaint last year, was it, or the year before, was that they were kept waiting all day.
Yes.
Only to find that they were then playing at about 7 o'clock in the evening, right
short
through
notice.
to midnight.
Exactly, and then
if they just made sure that everybody knew we're going to move everything later in the day.
You know what? They were quite fortunate last week that the temperatures weren't quite as high as they are now. I think they're around about 34, which is still very hot, but it meant that at least they can get the games on the outside courts, which don't have cover and are not temperate as well, don't have air conditioning. They could get them to go ahead. It would have been a nightmare if they'd had to close all those courts, because they'd have had to have a massive backlog. In fact, it happened at Wimbledon in 1991. There was a backlog of weather-related issues and a backlog of fixtures, and they had to actually cut the men's matches from best of 5 sets to best of 3. That was the year Michael Schlick won against Boris Becker in straight sets. Knowledge for you.
There you go. Honestly, are you off to QPR today?
I'm not going, no.
Arsenal.
I'm at Arsenal tomorrow against Manchester United, yeah. I've given my QPR tickets to Mark White, my colleague. That's what I'd do to my friends.
Very nice.
I'll see Home and Security head, sir.
OK, but the forecast for the temperature in Melbourne right now is fairly reasonable. Tomorrow's 29.
That's reasonable compared to what you've been
Tuesday,
used to.
41.
41? That's yeah. Well, by then, most of the matches will have gone inside, so at least they'll be able to play in air-conditioned.
I tell you what, that would be no good for Olivia Utley or
Really?
Charlie
Why?
Peters.
Why?
Because they're both pasty, quite pasty people. But actually, to be fair, Charlie much more than you, Olivia.
They can stand the heat.
Tennis either, so I
Oh,
don't
well,
know
no.
much.
You're a very pale person,
I
Charlie,
often
aren't
find, Stephen, I come into this studio after a bit of bronzer in the makeup room here, feeling as though I've already had a quick holiday between staying up for work and coming into the studio. But
Like a bit of Rimmel Sun.
It's a cheaper holiday, that's for sure.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with being pale. I'm not being critical. Just saying.
I like to wear SPF. I want to maintain
what it
my
is?
skin every day, even in the winter.
Oh, do you really?
Absolutely. I also
sound
spend
like
a lot of
a
time.
skin
I
advert.
spend a lot of time in an office with no windows.
Yeah, well, that's
my
true.
darlings. Okay, not a lot of sunlight down here.
Ellie does
working
that.
away.
Ellie puts SPF on every day.
Smart lady.
Well,
I follow in the Ellie Costello route.
These youngsters, they're taught to.
Oh, is that what it is? Oh,
You won't believe
What are you going to talk about today?
Less about our skincare strategies. And Olivia, take it away. What's going on?
Well, of course, it's another really, really difficult day for Keir Starmer. Did he go far enough with Donald Trump? I feel almost sorry for the Prime Minister. He's got to walk such a thin tightrope between trying to keep the President on side. You don't want to be angering Donald Trump, but also showing that he does care about British veterans. With the President roundly insulted.
I thought he sounded quite angry in what he said.
He did sound angry. What I thought was interesting, though, was yesterday morning I was at Prime Minister's lobby and the Prime Minister's spokesman said, don't expect to hear from the Prime Minister today, it's a quiet Friday. And he then decided that he had to go out and speak. But it just shows, again, Keir Starmer doesn't quite have that political nous. Someone who does have a bit of political nous is Andy Burnham, and he's on the warpath. That's another headache for Keir Starmer. We're going to find out today whether or not he's going to run in that Gorton and Denton by-election.
Yes, and also talking about Chagos, as we're all also referring to the possible US-Israeli strike on Iran, Britain and the Chagos Islands, that's actually top of the headlines in the Israeli media this morning. Just got back from there yesterday because they're all realising they rely on this asset that we appear to be giving away. There's been a significant U-turn last night with Sir Keir Starmer now appearing to pull that bill from the Lords on Monday.
Dead in the water?
It might not be. I think there's going to be some more of that delicate diplomacy we see Sir Keir Starmer running with the US, as Olivia's saying. He's got a bit of a tightrope to run, hasn't he? But we're covering all of that coming up in a moment on Saturday Morning Live. But first, it'll be time for your weather.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning, welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. Some sunshine on the cards for some of us through today, but there will be further heavy rain across southwestern areas as well as in the northeastern area of low pressure down in the southwest. Continues to bring pretty strong winds to southwestern areas. Heavy rain and hill snow still continuing across the north and east. But between those two areas, a slice of sunshine, particularly across southeastern areas of England actually. Plenty of dry weather, still a fairly brisk breeze. It's not going to be especially mild out there at all, but certainly better than it has been recently for some of us. Some weather to get outside in at least this Saturday. Into this evening, the wet weather, the windy weather continues across the southwest and the rain continues to fall across northeastern areas of Scotland. We've still got a yellow rain warning in force actually for parts of Scotland in the north and east. Here we could see some impacts from the rain. It's been raining for a couple of days now actually. Some wet weather spreading into parts of Northern Ireland, remaining dry though across much of northern England and across the southeast. Should be a fairly clear evening here. A different story though in the southwest. As you can see, heavy bands of rain and brisk southwesterly winds. They will move northwards through the night, taking the rain with it. Some dry weather now and again across the southwest, but plenty more rain to come into Sunday. And across the east actually it does turn much drier, but it will be a cloudy start to the day on Sunday. Lots of cloud and rain around. Another mild night for the time of year. And quite a cold feel actually through Sunday across many northern and eastern areas. We've got quite a brisk easterly wind here, and elsewhere lots of cloud and rain. There will be some slices of dry weather here and there. It's not going to rain all day for everyone, and the rain's not going to be that heavy on Sunday actually, so you should still be able to get out if you are wanting to. Temperatures quite close to average, a little below where we've got that easterly wind on the east. See you again soon.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's the final week to see how you can become our biggest cash prize winner to date, as there's a simply stunning £85,000 in tax-free cash to be won. Go on that dream holiday, buy that brand new car, or just relax in the knowledge that the rest of the year could be on us. But you have to hurry, as lines close on Friday the 30th of January. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Well, 2026 has already got off to a fascinating start in politics, but what might be next? With us now in the studio is impressionist Tony Lapidus. Well, Tony, very nice to have you here. Thank you.
Great to see you. We've introduced you as Tony, but I think you might also be Sir Keir Starmer for the moment. And Sir Keir, looking back on 2025, what's your most memorable occasion from the year and your proudest achievement?
Well, look, first of all, thank you so much for having me on. I really do appreciate it. It means so much to me. There have been so many achievements. Namely, one of the most important ones was when Donald Trump invited me up in the Sharm el-Sheikh summit and then told me to retreat like a little boy to the corner. It was a projection of such leadership. And the British people voted for a strong leader, and I think I conveyed that.
Accusations made against you about what you were like in your school days at Dulwich. How have you responded to those accusations?
Oh, well, they're not true. They're not true at all. Isn't it funny that people would bring something up from so many decades ago? At the end of the day, what I did when I was younger, I deny it all, by the way, but what I did, I never said anything nastily. I remember one chap, and he wrote me an email recently. He said, "You used to call me overweight." And I did, but I did it to do him a favour. And you know what? He said in the end, he couldn't get a job because he lost so much weight and they stuck him in a mental asylum.
Oh, well, first of all, that's a stupid question, isn't it? You're a stupid guy, aren't you? You're beautiful, by the way. You're a beautiful guy. You're a beautiful woman, excuse me, but I will say that's a stupid, dumb question because it's been one of the most unbelievable... probably the best year that anybody's ever seen, even though we're in January. You know that. You know she knows that. She loves this. She absolutely loves it. But yeah, it's going to be so much better, and we're going to do a lot more invasion.